making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. What up?
Boom.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing great, man.
Everybody,
chasing all day.
mic check, making sure it's not too loud. I'm driving on the road right now, so.
Yeah,
Sound
your mic's fine.
Sounds good. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing great, man. Doing
Great.
great. Yeah, chat's
Free
lit.
men. We're free men in a free world. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Sure.
And every day another person gets freed from the Hex smart contract via the Hex smart contract. It's true.
That's it. We have nothing else to do but free ourselves, right?
Well, I wouldn't be on here if I was just here to free myself. So
Well, that's
I
true.
think we all kind of do our part to spread the good word.
I mean,
And I know
collectively.
Will.
I mean, collectively.
Yeah, I know we get thank yous all the time. You know, over DMs, messages, after consult calls, from people in person. Like
Yeah, it's
the
crazy.
flood of messages just never stops because this product is changing lives.
It's honestly that simple, right?
The math does the work for you. You just have to buy the dip. That's all
it.
you have to do. I mean, you don't even have to stake. Just buy the dip right now. You're that early. But highly recommend staking for those of you that aren't. Maybe maybe you're new to Hex. Maybe you just got a little bit of liquid Hex and you're trying to accumulate a position. That is a great strategy because we still have a little bit of time before these T-shares go way deflationary. So you have you have a little bit of time on the runway here before the plane takes off where you guys can accumulate. So take the opportunity while it's there because pretty soon Hex is going to be $10, and if you didn't get in, you're going to feel bad about it.
Yeah, you sure as hell are, because I know I feel bad about not getting in January 2020, and I didn't even know about it. So,
Yep. Hindsight. Gotta love it.
Yeah, it's a beast. It's a beast, man. I mean, this is why. Sorry, guys. Let me close this window. Hold on. Let me get stream ready. I forget I live in New York. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Soon, Will's Only is going to buy New York.
Actually, yes, that's part of the plan.
He's going to call it New York Only 1. That's what he's going to do.
Hey, you know what? There's something special going on right now. We got an interview with our second interview with Cynthia McKinney this week.
Yeah, it was a good one too.
And live on the broadcast, you can witness the beginning stages of a political movement that is now being taken to the front.
Oh, yes.
And the fact that these people are, and I'm speaking directly to Wales and directly to Kinetics and directly to the people that I met and saw last weekend. And honestly, people that have been approaching me in the Hex community over the last 8 months that are all kind of thinking the same thing. You know, we're the best appreciating asset post-COVID. So just think about the implications of that and what that means for the people that have been involved in this thing before it even launched. We were seeing an opportunity. Well, now you have the proof. The data's out there. It's presented by tons of different sources. Even people that aren't necessarily pro-Hex are proving that the theory works because they're trying to copy it. They're trying to copy aspects of it. Hex goes way beyond the smart contract. It's got just as much to do with how you trade it as it does the asset itself.
Yep.
So what you've been given is a perfect platform. Please take advantage of it for yourself and for your family's sake.
If nothing else. If nothing else. Right? Because at the end of the day, the math doesn't lie. And that's one thing that you can always bet on. You can always bet on 1 + 1 being 2. Always. No doubt about it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's important to remember. Because when you're not the one doing the math and the math is just being told to you, that's one thing, which is basically what happens when I explain something. But you have to remember that I'm asking you to confirm my findings. I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Right? So that's important. That's a very important distinction, because I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to see what I find, and I explain my logic behind what I'm finding, and I want you to stress test it. That's what my goal is. My goal is for people to call me out on my bullshit if I'm talking bullshit. Right? And yeah, we're trying to make these streams more viewable for the Europeans. Yes. Yes, you're welcome, folks.
Much appreciated, man.
All right.
But about the interview with the Congresswoman, it's just great. I haven't fully watched it. I was just watching it back because I've been away, but it's promising, man. It's again something that just hexagons are. You can just trust hexagons, but for doing the right thing, even if it's a hard thing, there are people in the hex community that have the skills and have the context to pull it off. And you're seeing right now what happens when people start to work together. When good people start to work together, we're literally going to change the entire course of history here, man.
That's the goal, man. And again, it's not really from an altruistic point of view either. It's more from a pragmatic, practical point of view. You can't realistically expect things to continue going down the path they're going and for you to actually have an enjoyable existence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2020 kind of let us know that. And this is why we have to be so diligent in our actions and activities, because what other choice are we left with? I mean, look at Australia. They're a perfect example of what's coming worldwide if we're not diligent and vigilant. Right?
100% agree with that.
Yeah, and it's sad but true. But these are things we have to come to terms with, because it's the only way we stay free, period. It's not going to be something that is like, hey, you guys you guys actually want your freedom? Oh, we're sorry. We were just kidding. We're sorry. What we're going to do is we're going to just retract everything we just did. And, we'll just go back to normal and act like nothing ever happened. Okay? Is that okay with you? Cool. All right. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Right? So we have to wake up to that reality. That's very important, because that's going to be the only way that we can actually move forward. Right? How much more BS can you realistically accept? That's the question.
Right? I think people got to remember it's our world. Just as much as it's whoever's world, it's our world.
100%. So, but we all share it, and that's the point, right?
So with that, we're sharing this world. We need to take back our responsibility. With freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin.
Correct.
You don't get to do bad decisions. That's how you end up being a slave again. And I've rarely ever seen a responsible person that wasn't free.
There you go.
If you can go find one on the street,
I'll wait.
so I can figure out how the hell they got there.
Simple as that.
It's probably a kid. It's probably a responsible kid that's getting taught by a responsible parent. That's just the kid's not free. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe a person in a classroom. It's a setting thing, right? So we got to be cognizant of who we give up our freedom to.
Correct.
If I see an expert of something, vet them somehow, and then I'm going to figure out, is this person worth me giving up my freedom in this moment and just accept the information in, but then adjust it and try to find a way to verify it. from another source. Now, too many people don't want to do any of the work. But if you want to be free, it takes now.
You chopping up, bro. You chopping
Breaking
up.
up. Yeah.
Shit. Sorry, I'm on the way. We have a lot of work to do, people. Let's get on.
That's the conclusion.
Yeah, that's it. So we didn't hear shit before. We got a lot of work to do. So it's all good. We get the point. Yo, but check it out. I know everybody's heard of the latest from our favorite boy, Mr. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
he wants to know when you spend $600 or more now, no matter what.
$600?
Yep. Worldwide.
What?
Worldwide, sir.
What?
Worldwide. Because
I
you
don't
gotta
know if I
understand.
think that's a good idea. First of all,
Yeah, clearly
Will,
not.
is that even possible?
Is that possible?
Is it even possible to track that many transactions? I don't even think the infrastructure is there. Let's be real about it. That's a lot of
Clearly
packets of
not.
data. The internet's only so big.
Clearly not,
You
but
know?
that's not the point. The point is that they are further infiltrating your privacy, and accepting it is the problem. Straight up. Just like we accepted the first version of travel money rules, that should have never happened. No institution should know what the hell you're doing with your money if it's your fucking money. Because you worked for it, not them. Pretty simple. I don't have to worry about some fucking bad actor because guess what? I'm not one.
Yeah.
Not my problem.
I got a question, though, because this does come up. Aren't you worried about a bad force using the money for wrongdoing, or no?
No.
They're already doing it.
They're already doing it. I'm sorry. No. Because when good is doing what good is supposed to do, there's nothing to worry about. And that's the problem. Good has been sitting on its ass for too fucking long.
Well, I feel like, yeah, you're right, but I want to see evidence of how these laws actually change and help. I want to see them. I want to see the actual data on the people that are doing crime that they catch that are doing crime with crypto. I bet you it's less than 5%.
Yeah, you're not gonna get that because there's.
So
It's less than half a
gonna-
percent, bro. Money
Yeah,
laundering.
so you're going to tell me you're going to enforce an absolute law all people because one doing.
Yeah, because it's all a narrative, dude.
You guys, I got to dip out. I'm getting a call. Thank you.
Ah, no
All right,
problem. Thank you for your contribution to this. But to go on this point, like that's what they've been doing for so long already. Just pick a narrative, and then overblow the entire what's the word? The means to stop it. Like they just pick a narrative, and then they just put the limits on everyone just to get a little bit more control. It's exactly that.
Correct. That's what it's all about. Because it clearly makes no sense, right? How can they realistically track every single transaction? Right? It's just like I tell people, you tell them what you want based on what you read.
Say that again.
Hold on. We got a comment in the chat actually that I think is important to answer.
Yep.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yep. Anytime you do a transaction of 10,000 flat or more, the authorities or the perceived authorities are alerted, especially if it's cash, right? If it's cash, they're gonna definitely stop you from doing anything. Like they don't even want you to touch it. Period. Like, oh no, like you go, if you got $1 million in the bank, you go ahead, go try to take it out. Let me know how that works. Let me know how that works out for you, because it's not going to work out for you. It's that simple. Now, with respect to this, with this comment right here, it's a simple matter of fact that any cryptocurrency that exists and is used for any so-called illicit transactions, at best, will represent 0.5% of the total money laundering transactions. And money laundering is really a bullshit term, right? Because the people that launder money are not actually investigated. Now, how do I know that? Well, you know where I work, so I do know that. Because it's that simple. When you're inside the beast, you know how shit works. If you're paying attention.
So the people that launder money don't get investigated.
Nope.
Who does get investigated for money laundering then?
The people that they want to investigate.
Yeah, exactly. It's just another narrative to pick and
Yeah.
choose who you want to check on, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's it.
Good excuse. Yeah.
It's just a different way of finding political opponents, right? That's
Yeah.
it. And pinning your things on them, right?
Speaking of political opponents, I don't want to go too far off on the weeds on this, but it is interesting to note that in a lot of cases where politicians or high-level authorities are, under assumption that they did a crime or like they're guilty for doing a crime, these people, they never get locked up and they just keep going about their business. And I always wondered, like, is there some sort of diplomatic immunity going on in the background, or what's actually going on there that these people never get in trouble for these things? It's relevant to this conversation because, if less than 1% of people are using money for nefarious reasons, although that's, subjective too.
Yeah, but it's subjective, right?
It's subjective, man, and that's the problem. Is like crime is not. Common law is not. You murder someone, you're punished for it. You steal somebody's stuff, you're in trouble for it. There's common law, right? And that's what we can agree on. But it's not. I don't know. There's just so many hypotheticals about of what's going on. I'm drawn to get in the arena and start making, fix the money, fix the world. Let's fix that layer. And then with that, we can start to fix the corrupt systems that are in place, man. And it's important here in the U.S. especially because, you really are in the heart of the beast over there. It's especially true for us over here because we dictate so much of world policy because Americans are so, quote unquote, justified in their action because they're in it for the freedom. Right. So we lost the responsibility part from the political socio level. We need to dial that back and go back to fundamental law, which is common law at the state level, and work that back out from the state level up. America is a grassroots, bottom-up approach to life, and we need to. And when you run everything and give these immunities to people from a federal level, that's a top-down approach. You have competing government styles, and it just causes all these problems. It needs to be reformed. Period. Now that how and the what's definitely stuff that needs to get discussed. That's why we do shows like this. So.
Yep. And thanks. Shout out to Far Out. Thanks for this comment, bro. The banks also report you if you go into your safety deposit box more than once a month or X times a year. So you see, anytime there's an intermediary there, there's somebody watching over you.
Yep.
You have no privacy, period. This is why cash is a problem. This is why big loads of cash are even more of a problem because they never want you to operate freely. Right? And this is important to understand. This is why understanding what crypto is about is the most basic and most important thing you can do to understand what's going on in the world right now. That's why I can take the time to talk about all of these different things. Because while they might not seem related, guess what? They are. There's a reason everything is happening here, like it's happening, right? The U.S. is the last stand, literally. The U.S. falls, the rest of the world is done. Look at what's happening in Australia again, right? That's a serious problem. Now look at Denmark, right? They just opened everything up. I bet you, since the country is 80%, all that they're going to eventually have an outbreak at some point because that's how it goes anytime that happens. And all that means is they're going to get spiked. They're going to get locked down again, forcing them to get another thing again. forcing the cycle to continuously, perpetually repeat itself. And shout out to RG. Yeah, this is a new show. Yeah, we didn't even know either. This is just the second time we're doing it.
Oh baby, oh baby. What up, RG?
Yeah, what's up, RG? Yeah, we didn't even know either, man. But it's you know, it's time, man. You know, it's time. It's time to have these serious discussions. Understand that we're being lied to at every turn. Understand that the laws that are actually supposed to be invoked are not. You know, they're hidden from us, like common law. That's that one. That's one of them. And you know, it's just all of these things, right? It's taking it one step at a time, understanding the world one step at a time, because there's a lot. You know, there's a lot of layers. And the thing about it is, like, you know, once you realize there's a lot of layers, this starts to make more sense, right? But then even this notion is a little confusing, because is it America or is it the people claiming to represent America? And it's typically the people claiming to represent America. It's not really America, right? Because that's like saying, you know, fuck China. Well, no, it's not really China. It's the fucking CCP. So fuck the CCP, right? And that's the thing, because I got plenty of Chinese friends. Whether they're duplicitous or not, I don't know, but we'll see, right? But
You
I'm
know,
gonna
it's a funny thing, right?
face value for now.
It's a funny thing because the federal government really is just a centralized entity that has special privileges. That's all it is.
That's all it is, yeah.
You know, but yet they can act on behalf of the states, and I just don't necessarily see how they could even be grounded in any form of reality from where they sit.
Well, they're not, right? Because look at the, just by looking at the laws that they pass, and not only that, but just looking at how they're written. Okay, like just taking all of those items into account, have to realize there's an issue. How is it that one entity always wins and one entity only loses?
Yeah.
Always. And that entity that always loses is the people.
And that's the whole thing, that why all these rules get to be in place is because you could say the evil forces, it's easy for them to make rules and then just abide by them.
Let's talk on that, because that's a great point. You just and I'm sorry to interrupt, but dude, just look at the pictures. Some wear masks, some do not.
Yeah.
No, you know, case rest, you know.
but that's the whole thing. That's the whole root of it all. If you are going to be an evil force, you're going to make rules that the good people are going to listen to, and you're not going to listen to it, because why would you, right?
Correct.
And that's the whole point where I'm starting to think, like, why is this all in place? This should all just be teared down, because if you're going to be the good force, you need less of those rules and just be acting as a good force. By doing that, you're solving everything anyways already.
Exactly.
But just those rules are just to keep the good force down, so that everyone can be everyone that is corrupt will win. That's the whole reason why all those random ass rules are there, because they don't make any sense to us, because we were like, if we look at those rules, we think, well, why is this here? This just keeps me from doing good things.
Right.
And that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Correct. It's very simple, right? When you're given false choices and they're both bad, well, what's good? Nothing.
It's I had a conversation with some people that believe that we have to have high taxes. I was talking to them. I told them, why do you think we need tax? And they were coming up with all these excuses of, we need. Everyone always comes up with the excuse of, we need roads. Yeah, all right, that's all right. But why are the taxes so high? And people actually believe that everyone needs to pay taxes so that stuff gets done. And if there are no taxes, people think that people will only act in their own interest. But that's not necessarily true, I think. Because look at all the hexicans. If the people that joined Hex right at the beginning, that are loaded right now, the only thing you hear them talk about, yeah, they have some nice stuff, but the only thing you really hear them talk about is do good stuff. And they're
Yeah.
giving away big tips and they're doing all kinds of stuff. And that's exactly what I mean. Like, if those rules aren't there, if taxes were way lower, like maybe just minimal, right? People actually give me the argument like, yeah, they will, then the rich people will only make better environments for themselves, and they will leave other people to rot. But that's I don't believe that, man. Like, at some
Yeah.
point you have everything, at some point you have way more money to spend, and what you're gonna do then? Of course you're gonna help other people because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
Dude, I
come back
totally
to the
agree with you.
point. Then you come back to the point as why are these rules there? It's because to get good people not to win, so that the evil forces can win easy. And that's
Well, I don't know, maybe, but I don't. It's hard to pin that on what and the hows and the stuff and who is. But what you can know for sure is that the underlying asset that we denominate the world in, the U.S. dollar, goes down in value and just is destroyed over time via inflation, taxation, all this stuff, right?
yeah.
And so when you so a happy and healthy people are going to be more giving and more loving. So, like, if the asset performs for them and provides their needs and more, naturally humans are going to want to give more. So, like, if you change,
but then you have to ask
the
yourself
tool,
why.
you change the behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
then
why
you have
this
to
is
ask
so
yourself why everything is rigged against you, so you don't get to the point.
Again,
Why is that?
We came from, dude, Mark, we came out of the dark ages, man. Like, we came out of a world where there was so much hate and evil, and we're just coming out of that. The species is still just, we're not even type 0, type 1, however I forget. I think we're not even on the scale, and it's because we're just starting to come out of that from an evolutionary capacity. That's why you got all these touchy feelers on everything these days, is because people are becoming more sensitive, but they don't know what's happening to them.
Yeah,
it's a spiritual, mental evolution that's happening to them.
Yeah,
they just don't know how to interact with it. Now, what you need thought leaders and people like yourself to come out here to teach the lessons so they can operate in this new reality. Because it's all tied together, like Whale says, the asset, the mental capacity of the people, the diet, the exercise, the information transfer quickly across time and space, the new technologies that are literally changing our understanding of physics. Like, everything together is the species propelling itself to a new understanding and a new capacity. So it's like entering a new bubble of reality. So that's why you're seeing the destruction of everything that was created before. I'm just super optimistic. I see these things as the darkest night before dawn. But in my eyes, we've already went through the darkest part, because that's when everything was covered up. Everything just became uncovered now.
Yeah, in a big way too, right?
Yeah, and that's a beautiful way of saying it, man. It's a great input.
Well, thank you. And I think it's important for people to hear, because my life is the summation of all of the knowledge and experiences that has brought me to this point to share this information. And that doesn't make me any different than you. It just makes me at that point in my travels that I can finally have the platform to say what I wanted to say 10 years ago, that I didn't have the words to articulate. But by coming upon some new knowledge and new ways of thinking, it allowed me to tap into these otherwise unknown aspects that humanity is just starting to figure out, like, about themselves and about the world. And it just goes so deep, and I just can't wait to share the next 10 to 15 years with you guys in this asset, in this vehicle, because it is the crystallization and the manifestation of the highest and best asset we have as far as a species. So let's, like, use it for good. You know, Richard is the right guy to be in his position right now. You know, hopefully he stays on track, because in my eyes, the world can be in his hands. We just got to make it happen.
Good point. Good point. I mean, I think we're kind of doing a decent job so far, because all we're doing is just relaying factual information, you know, and people are appreciating that. because they've seen what's happened in the market over the past, 4 or 5 months, right? You got a lot of chop in the typical risk assets that just track Bitcoin, right? Because they haven't done anything. They haven't breached any previous highs. So, very rarely are you holding a coin that's performing well at this point in time in the market's history. So, that's causing people to look elsewhere, and by default, they're going to end up finding Hex, which is great, because, something this good just cannot be hidden. You know what I mean? Not at all. And that's just, a function of reality, right? How many times have we seen CoinGecko or all these other places just mess up on their market cap listing? Like, you have to manually gatekeep for a reason, bro. Like, stop hiding it. Like, you can try, but every single time you mess up, you're just losing users. Because they're going to figure out what you're doing, and they're just going to stop using that platform.
Yep.
And the only people that are left behind are just those that don't want to pay attention. And that's on them. You don't want to pay attention to what Binance and all of them are doing. That's on you. And thanks for the super chat, Cash Plus. Appreciate you, brother. Always dropping that fiat on me, baby. Thank you.
Don't worry, it'll be sacrificed for Hex soon.
Oh, of course.
Putting some quarters in the wheels machine.
What? There is nowhere else to put fiat. I'm sorry. I don't know of a place. Please provide me the destination. I'd like to know.
It's so easy, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy easy. Like I've never been so comfortable using something before. And that's kind of a function of the 100% uptime that we see in Hex, right? I mean, I can only imagine how good Pulse is going to be. Like, can you imagine? I can only imagine. Look, they're out here fixing Ethereum stuff, man. Like, we're fucking lucky, guys. We're super lucky, and I think we don't give that enough maybe merit, I think. I don't know. Talking about it now, though, so good enough. But, we're about to own 2 pieces of software that are probably going to be unparalleled in the near future.
Wow.
Just think about that. There's some value just in that alone.
And a copy of Hex, don't forget.
And the who?
Oh, yeah.
A copy of Hex.
Oh, well, so here's the crazy thing, right? If you're watching this stream right now, odds are you already own Hex.
Yeah.
So on top of owning 1 copy of the best software in the world, you're going to keep getting a replication of that copy wherever else that it exists over time. So get as much Hex as you can now. Because I think the count is like 4x right now. It's crazy. Like there's ETH2 Pulse. That's 2. There's supposed to be something else. I can't remember what the other 2 are. I can't keep up with all this stuff. There's too many changes. But it's happening, right? Like the ecosystem is being built, right? And that ecosystem is going to bring the world to Hex, because they're trying to. The ecosystem that currently exists, number one, is subpar, is inferior. So I mean, it's inferior just to Hex, right? But on top of that, just the operational aspect of how people conduct themselves on this side versus that side are just different, right? You have professionals over here, you have wannabes over there, right? And that's kind of a big differentiator, because people are going to handle business differently. Like, I'm just looking to get shit done, right? A lot of us are in the same camp. Like, we're just looking to get shit done. We don't care how. When we were in Vegas setting up a lot of events, I was looking around crap. Who cares? I'm nobody special. I'm just there to help, right? And
when we were in Virginia last weekend, that like every time that there might have been a roadblock, Freddie figured it out in like a minute, like literally. Like, it was like we didn't. Oh man, I just wish I could tell you so much more about that. That thing was awesome. But yeah, there was like.
I can't wait to see it.
Oh man, but hey, by the way, it turned out like I'm starting to get some information about it, and it sounded like it turned out better than we thought. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. So, it's always good when a project comes together and it's just superior in so many ways, and you just didn't even see it coming.
Oh
right?
man,
Because art
literally,
is hard, bro. Art is hard. People don't give it enough respect.
So
Right.
much time, dude.
Yeah,
So much time.
like
Mark,
people really don't.
Mark, if anyone's watching the stream that doesn't already know, Mark spends so much time learning new engines and new software just so he can
Keep up.
build out this stuff, and it's amazing. Like, I'm really impressed, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
it's not
I like
easy,
my
bro.
little niche. I like my little like logo niche. Maybe, you know, do still images, but I don't really want to branch up. I like video editing, but I need a new machine. So I'm gonna build a new machine, and then I'm gonna get in doing some 3D modeling and some video editing
Nice,
and stuff. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna stick to my little, you know, my little niche. It might be an excuse why I haven't got my computer yet, but we'll see.
Also, Wills, I don't do keeping up. I exceed.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
I
right.
agree with that. I've seen it.
That's what we try to do over here, right? I mean,
But
I'm
actually
literally
doing it.
working right now, dude. I'm literally working right now. It's so ridiculous. I really hate this, but whatever.
It's so funny, man.
Yeah, it's really funny, right? I'm literally working from home and streaming and taking care of business, right? Because what matters is this point in time, man, it's crucial. It's crucial. If you gotta work 2 jobs, goddamn it, work 2 jobs. Make it happen, right?
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, this is the future. Right now, we have a nice little comment from Mr. Britton Knowles on the check-in. He owns 0 hex because he hasn't figured out what makes it better than any other option. So he figured he'd listen in.
Nice.
So we're gonna hook you up, Mr. Britton Knowles, because this stream is specifically for folks such as yourself or up, right? So why is Hex better? Well, first of all, Hex is, on a very basic level, what Bitcoin was supposed to be. And keyword there is supposed to be, because Bitcoin is not what it was designed to be. And if you Google the Bitcoin white paper, which is dated 2008 in December, if I remember correctly.
Yep, October, I think, or December, but it was 2008. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely 2008.
October 31st, 2008, I think, was the paper.
I can't remember.
Maybe.
I can't remember the date. But
So
long story short.
But long story short, this thing doesn't. See, Bitcoin it's supposed to be electronic peer-to-peer cash, but do you see it being used as electronic peer-to-peer cash?
Nope.
Because I don't. I see it trying to be narrated as store of value, but it's hardly that. It's more like just a commodity that is bought and sold, and there's a mining economy behind it. That's really the fundamental floor in the price.
That's it. Yep, that's it. Correct.
Now, Hex flipped that on its head, right, Wales?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how is that, right? And this is very important to understand, Britton, because what you have to understand is that this isn't just about the price of Hex. This is a little bit more, okay? Because when we're here sitting talking about something being comparable to Bitcoin, if not better, because we're actually saying that it's better, your ears kind of have to perk up a little bit. Because I remember when I first found it, my ears did, because everybody knows Bitcoin to be the standard, which is fair enough because it's been around the longest. But what we didn't know is that Bitcoin wasn't being used in its true sense, in its true fashion, right? So what that ultimately leads to is what we see today, right? Now, what is it that we see today? What we see today is people buying Bitcoin at 30, 45,000 and getting wrecked, right? Like, that's what we ultimately really see. Right?
Yeah, Wales, I see 2 layers of that. I see institutional accumulation and hoarding, and I see everyday people getting wrecked. And what that end up looking like is a very expensive Bitcoin down the road.
Yep, pretty much.
But if you're trading Bitcoin, you're going to get wrecked.
Usually how it works.
You can't get around the markets are so easily manipulated.
Yeah, they are.
So
they are.
Even if you make 10 good trades, one bad trade can wipe you out. But anyway, Hex takes all that thinking and time at the computer screen away, because it gives you a ridiculously high yield, and you don't have to own any mining equipment, and you don't have to trade for more yield. It just gives you the yield for staking it.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct.
That's it. There's no extra work.
But here's the cool part. If you give up your keys to any entity, right, you're literally strictly interacting with the contract, and that's it. So there's no intermediary. There is no third parties. Now, that's very important, Now, why is it important? It's important because what's happening is you don't have to take any counterparty risk. Meaning, in most instances, when you're buying Bitcoin, you have to buy it from somebody, not just a contract, not just the market. You're buying it from some centralized entity because, excuse me, if I remember correctly, I think 80% of the volume of Bitcoin is centralized, if not 66% or so.
Wow.
So the odds of you buying Bitcoin in a decentralized fashion is very, very slim. So why does that matter? Well, it matters for a few reasons. Number one, you're buying something that replicates the legacy finance markets. It's not decentralized. So when the dollar goes down, Bitcoin will go up, and when the dollar goes up, Bitcoin will go down, right? And that's sensible because when something is priced as a value, as a function of something else, and that value goes down, well, then the value of that thing should go up, right? That thing that's being priced and that thing that went down, right? And that's important to understand because everything here is ratioed, right? This is why when you go into crypto, you're understanding that you're going to make money is because it's going to outpace the rate of change in the dollar, right? That's very simple. Now, what makes Hex superior all by itself is just simply the fact that when you're buying and staking Hex, you have tons of optionality. Now, what does that mean? It means that you can stake Hex from 1 day to all the way out to 5,555 days. Okay, now that's optional. When you buy Hex, you don't have to do that. But what you have to understand is that if your goal is to accumulate wealth, then you found the right coin, right? And that's the difference between everything else and Hex. So that's a big differentiator, right? Because other coins don't have the ability to stake, right? Staking gives you the option to not have to worry about price for a specific period of time. Now, why is that a blanket statement or a general statement? It's a general statement because we have mathematical proof that lets us know that Hex is an instrument that basically doubles ever so often. And as far as the math shows, it doubles about 5 to 6 times a year. This is important to understand because unlike other financial instruments, Hex focuses on time. It encapsulates time. It gives you value with respect to time. So whether you're staked or not, the longer you hold Hex, the bigger your P&L is going to be by default because that's the nature of the coin, right? And we're going to do a chart set run through in a little bit, and you're going to see what I mean by that when we start seeing the data. But hopefully I can convince you that the math makes sense because, again, it's not me, it's just the math. And that's the difference between Hex and everything else, right? You rely on math here. So it allows you to replicate this use case, which is building wealth, because you can strategically plot out what you want to do, whether it's for 1 day or 5,555 days, right? Because the question is, well, what do you want and when do you want it? That's it.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
And so I think it's important to know, I'm going to take it a little bit deeper here now. When you do stake your Hex, your position is secured in the network from there forth. So for what I'm trying to say is the longer you stake, the higher the return. You're looking at like a 37 to 40% interest rate per year for a 10-year stake. Now, number one, people usually say to me, well, that's impossible. You can't get 40% anywhere. Well, in Hex you can, because the amount of coins that you're getting per year is locked by 3.69% of the total supply, which comes out to roughly 20 billion coins per year. Now, who gets the 20 billion coins per year? The stakers. Now, if everybody stakes, those 20 billion coins are getting divided up amongst every single user in the system. But that's not what's happening. Only less than 10% of the coins are being staked right now. And that's actually going up. And if you caught what I said earlier, I said that the guy that gets in today is protecting his position. Well, how is that possible? That's possible because it's a function of the share rate. And when you get to that point, Whales will give you a lot more information on the importance of that share rate, because that's what keeps the price moving up of both HEX and the yield producing asset tied to HEX.
Correct. Very important. Because the question is always, well, how does HEX pay you interest? Right? And we're going to get into that. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start running through these charts. And Britton, if you have any questions or anybody has any questions during this little run through the charts, please let us know.
Hey, Wales, before you get started up here, I just wanted to thank you all. I gotta get out of here. I'm about to hit a meeting here.
No worries.
And Mark, thank you. Love your content.
Thanks
keep it up, and we'll keep working on wave stuff. All right, buddy.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Right.
It's gonna be
See
great.
you guys.
Peace, brother.
See you later,
Peace.
man.
Thanks for stopping by, man.
Yes, sir.
Also, real quick for the people in the chat, I always the onboards that I onboard, I always tell them to learn about the system by joining live streams, not just watching the live streams. If it's a replay, it's a replay. But if you can make a live stream, then ask questions. Like, we are here literally just to help people, and so asking questions is the best way of helping people. So if you have any question, either chat is gonna solve it for you, or we're gonna talk about it, and then or we have some source for you. So it's the best way of learning, man.
It is. It is. So definitely reach out. Definitely ask questions. Don't be shy. We're here to help. You already, made a basic comment. You don't own zero, and because you don't know why it's better. What you should know about the others is that they make promises, and HEX doesn't need to make promises. HEX is just a finished product, right? It's a financial product, or a piece of software, however you want to view it. But the reality is that it's software that works, right? And that's what we care about. We care about investing in things that are going to generate the return that they promise that they're going to generate, right? Because if the system says one T share is a representation of whatever the system says it is, then it should be that. Pretty simple. But it's usually not the case, right? You usually are running into other scenarios, just everything, right? And it's just kind of crazy that things don't always run how they're supposed to, right? And this is why understanding what's happening with HEX is important. Like, you can't not invest in something. Like, you can't invest in something and not understand where your money is, right? And a lot of people make that mistake by putting capital into promise coins and not understanding that all they're buying is a headline, right? So that's important, right? You got to understand that. How do you get to that point, right? How do you get to that point of understanding? And it's by actually stress testing what you think you know, while taking advantage of the fact that you don't know anything, right? Because how are you supposed to know something when you don't actually know anything? Important, right? So we got a question here. Does 1 to 30 day staking help HEX and long-term stakers while well stake for short periods and taking advantage of that? Hold on, guys. I got pigs in the back.
Wills is getting arrested again. Too many gains, sir. You have become the only whale, and we need to arrest you for that. Too much freedom. So welcome to the cloud chase only stream, where the only thing we do is cloud chase on Whales' streams, because this is the place where people come to listen. And so I called the cops on Whales only.
Does it take over?
So I can finally have my say.
Too funny.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I don't even know what the hell I was saying, but it doesn't matter. It's all good.
I'm eating dinner, man. I was cloud chasing on your rant, so keep on talking so I can eat.
Oh man. But yeah, so understanding where your money is allocated, why it's there, is very important, right? So, so ask questions. Don't be shy. Um, you don't own anything yet, and that's fine. But but try to be constructive with your questioning as well, right? And that's important because asking questions is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So make sure you do ask questions. So the 1 to 30-day stakes, for if they're sizable, what happens is that they actually ratchet up the T-share rate, right? Because that's a function of how the T-share rate works. If you make a certain percentage ROI over that time, right, you're gonna recalibrate the T-share rate, and that T-share rate is then gonna move higher because it cannot move lower. It literally does not have that function, so it can only go up. So with understanding that, if the ROI is enough, then that's just what it ends up being. Okay. So if the ROI is significant enough to recalibrate the T-share rate, that T-share rate is then going to go up, meaning you have to buy more HEX, right? And if you have to buy more HEX, that means that there's going to be more demand for HEX over time, naturally. Simple as that, right? So when you make a short stake, what's happening is that odds are, if it's a whale, they're going to get a higher payout based on the fact that they sized into the stake, meaning they had more than X number of X when they staked, right? And it got them, X number of shares, right? So when they surpass that quantity, they are allotted bonuses, right? So those bonuses are going to increase their ROI. So this is how the short stakes are going to recalibrate the T-share rate. So as the T-share rate continues to get recalibrated, it continues to go higher. And as you guys will see when I show you this chart in a little bit, the HEX price is 100% correlated to the dollar cost of a T-share, which always goes up over time because the T-share rate always goes up over time. And the T-share rate is just merely the amount of HEX that's required to garner a T-share. And that happens to always go up one way, and that's up and to the right, meaning it only gets more expensive over time. It doesn't get cheaper. So it's important to understand that. So I hope that answers your question, right? Because it's going to carry the price, right? It's going to help anybody that's holding HEX. And that's important to understand. So yeah, let's see. What other questions we got here? Yeah, it's just as people certain understanding of markets and how things work, right? That's all it is. Essentially, the investor becomes a miner. No, so in HEX is a little different, right? HEX, when you buy and stake HEX, the only mining happening is the fact that you staked HEX, right? That T-share is paying you out your rewards based on how long you're staked for. So that's important to understand, right? So, it's important to understand that difference, right? Why is something different than something else, right? There's usually a reason for that. So you have a lot of coins out there that allow staking, right? The question is, what makes HEX different? So what makes HEX different is that staking functionality, right? That time lock is unique in the sense that it doesn't allow you to wreck yourself, right? And this is what happens when you wreck yourself, right? You become these people back here, right? Because there's always a HEX permabid. There's always people trying to buy HEX, always, no matter what. So take a hint. Give me a second, guys. So understand this meme because this meme is real. So now we're going to talk about any economy, right? Now, any economy is literally two people interacting, right, with each other. That's it. That's all. So in essence, the value creation nexus of an economy is you and the businesses that exist within it. So what that means is that if you're a private citizen or a business, you're the value creation nexus for any economy, whether it's local or global, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's one nexus. The other part is the public sector, which is there to facilitate civilization, right? That's what's supposed to happen, but that's not what actually happens, as we know, right? Because we all pay our taxes because we don't have a choice. It's taken to us. Oh, shout out to the hexologist. What's going on, brother? Thank you for tuning in, man. And we got Molly on deck too. Yo, what is the challenge? What is the challenge? I'm gonna have to let's find out what you guys got going on because I'll be running, so I'm gonna have to
They
find out.
talked about a challenge, but I couldn't really see what the challenge was.
I couldn't see nothing either. Yeah,
we'll find out.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out so I can dust them because it should be easy. Yeah, exactly. The steak bang, baby.
Oh yeah.
So when you own a T-share, right, that T-share is a replication of what the miners earn on the Bitcoin side of the equation, right? Except for us, we just earn a T-share, which requires no overhead, no energy, no nothing. It just requires you to press click, stake, and that's it. So that's important to understand. Right? We have created a system here that rewards individuals that understand math, nothing more. Right? This is all that we have here. We don't have anything else. Honestly, we don't. So that's important to understand. Okay? Because that changes everything. Right? Because what that means then is that logic is a purveyor of truth, right? Not people's whimsical notions. It's important. Okay? It's very important because that's why we have crypto in the first place. Because if it wouldn't be for what happened in 2008, 2009, right? The public sector said, screw you guys. We're going to do what we want. And we're going to bail out our buddies from this sector over here that caused the crash or whatever the case is, right? And that's important to understand because it happened because we allowed it to happen, right? If you don't understand that, you're going to miss the big important point of everything that crypto is about, right? So that's very important, very important. So now we're going to get into the market cap dominance charts for the top 100 from nomics.com. And going back to August 31st, HEX was at 6.5% of the top 100. And now we're just hovering in the 9% range ever since last week, September 7th. And 9.19 to 9.79 and down to 9.69. I don't know what the market's been doing today, but odds are it's probably the same. What's up?
In what time was it from 6 to 9? How quick did it grow?
A week.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just a week.
Only
just
winning.
Yeah, only winning, man. We don't know anything else over here. We just team win. Oh, that's another reason you want to join, Britain. We only win over here.
Do you want to join the team that wins or the team that doesn't win? Probably doesn't even participate because they just promised to participate.
Yep. Correct. So let's see. ETH is moving on up. Bitcoin. Dollar's actually
bullish. It seems crazy.
Go ahead.
It seems crazy to me. I just saw a tweet that Solana got shut down or something.
Oh, yeah.
That it got paused. Yep. And it seems crazy to me that the price still goes up.
Hey, man.
I just checked the chart and I was like, why is it still going up?
That's what makes a market, bro. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. So this is as of last night's crossover. Actually, this data point is wrong here. Let me show this chart. I gotta fix that. I forgot. Not to deal with PowerPoints just because I forgot. Because I meant to change that shit this morning, but I definitely forgot.
Oh, you make this in PowerPoint?
Yeah. No. Excel.
I can't. Okay. I kind of low key hoped you made it in Paint.
Yeah, nah.
Because as we know from another live stream from Wales, Paint is with Hex one of the only programs that has never been down.
Right. As ridiculous
By
as that
Paint,
sounds.
Paint to the moon.
Right, by Paint. Yeah, by Paint too. Not just Hex, but Paint as well.
Hey, Renji T, that's a good comment, man. Winners only one. That might be my next name. Because why? Because why not?
Yo, too funny, man.
My
Let me
profile
get
picture
this
will
little
just be a
logo.
1.
And nothing further. All right. Oh, I forgot to put the. Oh, okay, yeah. So here we got 330,000 on the T-share index versus 175,000 on the Hex index versus the nice low number of 6,400 rounding up on the ETH index and BTC at 900. Now, what is this chart showing? It's showing us the performance of each respective coin in their first 639 days of existence. So it's an age comparison. Okay? Age comparison. That's all it is. So on an aged basis, Hex is strictly outperforming the top 2 coins. So it's only a matter of time before we flip them. Because you can't have this type of performance and not ultimately do that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's too much of a, what's the word? Bifurcation of reality, right? Like reality has to come in line with reality at some point, right? And this is kind of what we're seeing right now with a lot of the things that we have to endure because of 2020, right? So it's all these things we got to take into account. Excuse me, guys. So as you guys can see, if you stare at this chart long enough, this trend line that I've thrown on here is a power trend line. And what it's going to detail is the logarithmic nature of the returns. And if you look at this curve and then you compare it to this one for ETH, you're going to see that they look similar to logarithmic functions. And that's because that's what they are. This is a replication of logarithmic base 10. And you can Google this and then just look at the charts, look at the angles, and you'll see that it's true. And this is log base 2. Okay? And that's all you really need to understand from this chart, right? Because the reason that is because log base 2 is a representation of a system that constantly doubles. And this is what we're seeing on this chart, right? Instead of it going like this, it went like that, and this, and now it picked back up again, right? Because that's what the system is designed to do, is designed to double. And this is all we're seeing. We're not seeing anything else, right? Whereas this system is, I mean, it's not designed to do anything, but it happens to capture the curvature of log base 10, which essentially means that it's supposed to capture every time it goes, the small rate of change as a function of 10, right? Which is going to be 1/10 of that, because you're taking that inversion, right? Or the 10th root, the 10th root, right? Because if you're getting the base root, right, is 2, then it's 2 to the power of whatever, right? That's what this is showing. That's what log base 2 means. So if this log base 10, then that means that it's 10 to the power of whatever, right? And that's clearly not fast, apparently.
No.
Because it takes a whole lot more mass for something to move 10x, right? That's the whole notion behind this line.
So I have a question.
Yep.
If you look at the yellow line, the log base 2,
Yep.
Hex is outperforming that now. So
Yes.
what does that make? Because you've been saying that Hex is moving on the log base 2 scale, but now it's outperforming it. What's your take on that? Because
so here's the
clearly
thing.
A lot above it, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. The question is why? Because the thing we have to understand is that that's just a trend line. That trend line doesn't define anything with respect to price.
Yeah.
That's just what the system is going to output based on what price is done, right? And it's that, and that's it. So I wouldn't read too much into it, because at the end of the day, what that line represents is the return nature, right? And what does that mean? Well, let's take a look. Now, I always do this. Give me a second, guys, so I can pull up the browser. Oh no, wrong one. All right, you pain in the butts. Where are you? Where is my other browser? Ah, here we go. Power values. Power 2 values. No better way to prove something than to just show people it's true, right? So
Yeah.
let's do that. All right. So we got table values, right? I just told you guys, excuse me, 2 to the power of whatever, right? So if we take the log base of, let's say, 8, logarithm calculator.
Oh, now we got singing wheels.
Oh, yeah, it happens. Let's see.
When wheels only musical?
Never. I hate musicals. All right, let's take this and just use it. All right. Oh, this is actually, wait, wasn't I talking about log base 2? Log base 8 or whatever? All right. So 3, right? Log base. So let's see. What's that? Here we go. Boom. Log base of 8. Log base 2 of 8 is 3. Log base 2 of 8 is 3. Now, if we throw, here we go. If we throw 256 in there, we'll get 8. Boom.
Okay.
Boom. See that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's all that's going on here, right? So now let's go back to the chart and let's try to wrap our hands around what's actually happening when Hex is going up and down. Because this is key. Because again, this is programmed money, right? This is not here to be some altruistic market that's here to change some nonsense that doesn't need to be changed, right? You know, I mean, it's important to understand that. It's important to understand that. So, because a lot of the times, you know, you get a lot of misinformation out here, right? And that's important to understand because a lot of people they're not going to run into me or Maddie or Gerardo or whatever, right? They're not going to run into us first because we're not talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and, you know, all the promised coins, right? So that's important to understand. So when people find us, they have to realize that this is just math, nothing else. No opinions being shared here. This is just what the math is doing, right? That's it. So hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions or anything because I haven't been looking at the chat in a while. Okay. So far, so
I don't
good.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, good stuff. Give me a second. So yeah, so what's happening here? We got a price dip to 4, right? 40 right here, or 20, whatever it is, right? It's a power of 2 value. That's the story. Here we have another move to 80 again, right?
Yep.
Here we have another move to 160, right?
That's the top.
Yeah, and here we got 2,560. We just jumped from 160 to that. Like that was a 7x at that point in time, right? So what happened then is that we just went sideways at this value for a long time, and we just went in between 256 and what's that other value? Well, let's see, 128. Now what's under 256? Oh, well, look, 1280. So you see, price is being captured by these levels for a reason. Very important to understand that. So let's see. So what I don't get is you guys are saying that it's good for transactions, but it is just in the ERC20, so you have ETH gas fees. Yeah, it just happens to be on the ETH network because that's where the coin was built on, just because that's a DeFi platform for smart contracts, and it was just the best one to build it on. So it just happens to be on ETH, but you got Pulse Chain coming soon, which is going to be its own network. So if you want to get ahead of that and you want to double your money without any effort, that's another reason you want to buy Hex now, because it's going to exist on Ethereum as well as a Pulse Chain network. So I'm sorry, Mark, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah. So what Bryden says here is you guys are saying that it's good for transactions, but that's not the main selling point of Hex. It just I think Richard said it like a few times, just as a thing that comes with it, just coincidentally. But the main thing of Hex is building wealth. It's not for transactions because a store of wealth is more valuable than means of transaction.
Good point, bro.
So I think that's I don't know where you heard that, Bryden. I don't think we have said that on this stream or any other will stream
Nah,
because
that's
we
why I
don't.
just glanced over it. Didn't even register in my brain. I don't think of
Exactly,
this.
exactly. But it's
Yeah.
important to recognize that he's saying that it's
Yeah.
important to understand that it's for wealth creation, and it just
Yeah.
happens that the reason why Pulse Chain is being built right now is because of the ETH fees, and so there's also not a thing that Hex will become cash. Hex is here to build value,
That's
to
it.
build wealth,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
not for
whatever you,
transactions. Nope.
exactly, and whatever you're going to do with that wealth, well, that's transactions, I guess, but it's not the main selling point of Hex,
No, well, here's the thing.
and that's a good thing.
The whole point of this existing is so you can get more Hex. That's the whole point of you staking it. Now, what happens when you get more Hex? And what happens when you stake? Right? That's the question. When you stake, you make those coins disappear and you get a representation of an interest earning vehicle in the form of a T-share. And that's just what it is, right? And that T-share pays you out a certain amount of Hex, which is a certain fiat dollar amount representation, which at this point in time happens to be, let's see here, give you an accurate number. As of last night, the payout per T-share was $2.19. So if you had one T-share, you made $2.19 for just being staked in Hex. Now, if you're like me and you have multiple T-shares and you got a multiple of this dollar value, and I didn't have to do anything for it. All I did was buy and stake Hex back in the day. And that back in the day could have been yesterday. I mean, it was the other day, in fact, because I still continue to buy. Because again, this is a wealth building tool. If you're here to make money, you've come to the right place. If you're not here to make money, then you've come to the wrong place. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. This is not about transactions or anything like that. That's the rest of the coins, right? Like that's elsewhere, right?
There was a comment from Big Boy Garmus. He said you said it was like Bitcoin at the white paper level, so I think maybe it came from there. The comment.
No. I said at the very base level, like that's the definition.
Yeah, exactly.
Of
Yeah,
what
but
crypto is.
That might be right. Bryden said,
and that's what I said. That the base at the very base level, Hex is a better Bitcoin. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So then you keep saying it is staking, but it's just an ERC20. So it's really yield farm. No. Nobody mentioned yield farm, bro. You need to learn to listen. Yield farming has not been mentioned once. There's no yield farming here. We just explained to you that when you buy and stake Hex, it's you interacting with the contract. There is no intermediaries. Yield farm implies intermediaries. No such thing is going on here. When you buy and stake Hex, you go to the staking front end, which there's many. One is go.hex.com. Okay, already on the right one. When you go to the staking tab, what happens is, let's say you got 10,000 Hex you want to stake for 365 days. You press stake, prompts the wallet at some point, or maybe because I got it in F11. Let's see. Oh, because I don't have anything, I guess. So you would do it anywhere. Well, anyways, it would prompt the wallet, and you would either stake or unstake, and that's it. The system would pick it up here, and you're done. There's nothing else to do. And then it shows you your T-share count, the interest you earn, the total Hex you've accrued, and your principal. And then it also shows you the US dollar value of it, what your APY was yesterday versus all time. So everything is available for you to see. There's no yield farming. There's no intermediaries. There's none of that. So I'm not sure where you're picking up these notions from.
Yeah, he's giving you some extra comments right now. I'm saying it is yield farm, not staking. And then he says, staking is how you secure a network, since Hex is not its own network and it's the wrong term. This is not proof of stake network. But when I Google definition of yield farm, it says yield farming is the practice of staking or lending crypto assets in order to generate high returns or rewards in the form of additional cryptocurrency. So your statements are wrong.
Well, there you go.
Thank you. Please come again.
Yeah. So again, right, this is a staking coin. I'm not sure where you're getting the term network from, but I think
he's coming from the point of view where you stake in order to secure a network.
Yeah, no, this isn't that. Nobody said a proof of chain, a proof of stake network here. We're talking about a coin that has a staking functionality, which represents yield earning reality. That's all. Nothing else.
You can call it whatever you want. It's just about the you need to understand the system. That's what it's all about. You are here to create wealth. So start understanding the system and not the don't get caught up on all these small details, because they apparently it just works, right? Why? Yeah. Just start to understand T-shares in the system and how it works, and whether you call it yield farming or staking or doesn't affect the price, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is not a staking coin, or I'm sorry, a staking network. This is a staking coin, right? And the staking function is just a term that's used. All you're doing is allocating money to a time locking protocol. That's it. Right? You can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, the whole purpose of that action is to generate more rewards. And in line with that, you're gaining price capital appreciation as well. So it's not just whatever you're thinking, not entirely understanding your point of view there. It's a little confused from my perspective. So let me get back to the charts. Keep running through these bad boys. All right, so to this one. Here we have the Posic payday chart. And if you're new, the big payday is something you're never going to experience again, but it was basically a one-time inflationary event where 30% of the coins in existence were printed on that day. And with that, you had some volatile price action going into that point in time, which caused a severe dip from like 1.35 cents to 0.2 of a cent, basically. And that's what we saw here. And from then, we had a minting of like 81 billion coins that had to be consumed by the system, which it ultimately was, right? And this is what we see the breakaway here starting. And we've just been on a tear ever since we broke out in April. This is like April 28th. And the coin's just functioning as designed ever since, because that's the whole point, literally. Every time a function ends stakes, or a stake is ended, what's happening is that the system is recalibrating the T-share rate every single time. If there's something to account for, it's going to account for it, and the value is going to go up. And in line with that, so will the price of Hex, and this is what we're seeing. It's completely dusting every halving that Bitcoin has had, the first, third, and second. They're paltry compared to what Hex is doing. And Hex is just getting started. Bitcoin is already done, because this is all it can do. This was the first one. The first one was the best one. That's all you get. You get nothing else. So if you're still expecting something from Bitcoin, good luck to you. Because, yeah, it's going to be rough.
I thought it was going to the moon, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Not looking like that's the case. But here we have the T-shares as a value, dollar cost value of ETH and the Bitcoin. Orange is Bitcoin and pink is ETH. And as we can see, we have a 200%, 210% for T-shares to ETH and 19% T-shares to Bitcoin. So not only do we sustain value, we also attain value. And that's what's up. That's what it's about.
It's picking up quick, man. The price of T-share. Again, just remember when price of a t-shirt was like few percent of a Bitcoin. We were celebrating that.
Remember that?
It's
That was
great,
crazy,
man.
right? Yeah. Because it wasn't like that before, right? Like it was just different. It was small percentages. Right now we're double digits and running easy. Excuse me. All right. So now we got the dynamic hex stock to flow tracker, and what we're looking at here is just a t-share rate, the APY, dollar cost of a t-share, and the dollar cost of 10,000 hex. Now, what's the t-share rate? The t-share rate is how many hex you need in order to acquire a single t-share, which is how you get paid out per t-share, like I just showed you moments ago. So how does that number happen? Well, you take this dollar cost of a t-share divided by that dollar cost of a t-share rate, or I'm sorry, of 10,000 hex, and then that gives you a number, which is 1.863 something or another, and you multiply by 10,000 because that's the base rate for a t-share, because that is where the system started. Right here, that's 10,000 hex. So that's why that's the base rate. And right now we're at 18,638 hex per t-share. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's really that straightforward. Let me see, make sure I'm not missing any questions.
Flat Earth Underground asks, when do you purchase t-shares, at the end of stake or beginning?
The beginning of a stake. So what happens is when you buy a stake, or I'm sorry, when you buy hex and you decide to stake it, what occurs is that the system burns those hex and it then replaces those hex in your wallet with a representation of an accounting system, which is called a t-share. And that t-share is a representation of what you're going to earn on a daily basis based on the fact that you staked and you burnt those coins in the system. Now, this is just a very specific cryptocurrency design. It's not common to all coins. So this is another reason that a lot of people don't understand it. They don't really try to learn new things. They just go off of what they already know. So that's the thing that you got to kind of be cognizant of, right? What's true and what's not. What's true is that this is unlike any other coin. What's not true is that it's like any other coin. Same coin, two different sides, both saying the same thing. It's important to realize that, right? Because this is what it's about, right? The data here is true because it's coming from the blockchain. Now, I'm not going to get into this because it's a little too advanced. We're just going to keep going and go through the usual stuff. Now, this is what I call the value proposition chart. This orange line is a payout per t-share sum line. Now, this line is letting you know that if you've held one t-share since inception, you've received 2,724 hex. That's what that means. Okay. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but that's because we're only talking about one t-share. All right. Very important to understand that.
In at the beginning, you have a lot of t-shares.
Yeah, exactly. Thousands even for the most part. Okay. So that's important to understand, right? Because that's a big differentiator, right? It sets things apart. Why do you own something? Well, you buy and stake hex so you can earn this payout. And the system respects that fact, right? This is why it's doing that, right? So that's why the system goes up how it does, right? And when you're ending a stake, what's happening is the inverse. You're now going to mint those coins, right? You're going to mint those coins that no longer exist as a function of what the t-share has been doing over time. You see? So if you have 10 t-shares and your stake is about to end, and if you held it since inception, well, that means you have 10 times 2,724, right? So that's how many hex you've minted from that point in time. Let's see, Flat Earth follows up with another question. So I need to factor in what hex is being burnt and have enough on the side. So also, so okay, when you're staking hex, it's a representation of however many hex you have. So let me show you. Go to hexcalc.net or not.
Just to clarify real quick, you don't buy t-shares. There's not a market price for t-shares.
It's just a representation.
Yeah, you stake hex, in return you get T shares to represent how big your stake is in the entire system.
So when you're looking at it like that, right, it's pretty straightforward. It's just an accounting function. It really just is. Because when you have hex and you stake it, you're swapping it out for that accounting function, because that's all it becomes. Because you can't do anything with the T-share. It's just a representation in the system, right? So right now the T-share rate is 18,625 or 652.5. So let's say you got 25,000 hex stake, right? That gives you automatically a little less than, no, let's just do 1 day just to give us a base rate. So we got 1.34 T shares, okay? Just based on that, just based on 25,000 hex. So what happens is if we go out further in time, we're going to get more T shares. And that's what we're going to see change. So pay attention. 1.6. And all I did was go out to 1 year. Now let's go to 3 years. How does the T share count increase? 2.145. Okay. So what happens is that your earning power, your daily earning power increases the longer you stake. Okay. So this is why it's important to understand a T share. And it even says it right here. 1 T share equals 1 trillion shares. Securing more shares helps to increase your share of earnings taken from the total distribution of daily payouts. The more shares you secure, the more hex you earn each day. And that's it. And how do we know what the payout is? Well, we can go to go.hex.com and check what the payouts have been recently. And I have a chart that shows us what the average is over time. And yesterday was 5.74 hex per T-share. So if you don't even have a whole T-share, you're not even getting this whole 5.74 measly hex. Right? It doesn't sound like a lot right now, but at the rate that the price is changing, is going to become a whole lot soon. And that's kind of the whole point, right? You got to understand that prices do not stay stagnant, and they don't stay stagnant for a reason. And this is an economic engine. This is an economic vehicle. This is not a promised coin. This literally is designed to generate value, generate wealth, right? This is why you have this line. This is why price follows it, no matter what.
And that's the interesting thing, right? T-shares have been designed to always go up in value hex terms. And that is why, and T-shares are the things that pay you out interest. And that is why people will always keep on chasing those T-shares. And because of the price going up of T-shares, everyone will always buy more hex because they want to keep those T-shares or get the T-shares.
Yeah, at that point, it's like the game theory, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like forcing you to act in a certain way.
And that exactly. And that, so is that a good description of why the hex price is following the T-share price?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's I think it's an accurate description because it's true. It's about the game theory, right? I mean, think about it like this. Just like you have all these emergency end stakes coming out, you got to think that that looks similar to this, right? Because they are always coming out every day.
Yeah.
But yet and still, even though those people are selling all those hex, guess what's happening? People are coming in to buy it nonstop.
And it's not just random people, it's the smart people that understand it. They're like, yes, give me the cheap hex.
Correct.
Give it all. Because the people that understand it now, they understand that this is the best place to put your money in right now.
Right. 100%. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? We have all this proof, right? Yeah, great comment. That's definitely
great,
a fact. Yeah, that's definitely a fact. So just so you can know a little bit about me, right? I came from Wall Street. I had to unlearn and relearn in order to understand the system, right? And this is why it's important to ask these questions because, as you probably know, given your name, there's a whole lot that we just don't know that we should know. And the fact of the matter is that when we think about what makes sense economically and what exists as we know it, how is it that pricing something based on what you think makes sense That doesn't make sense, right? Because what's defining that value? It can't just be your feelings. That doesn't make sense, right? I don't think that makes sense. It should be something systematic, something real, something tangible. This is why gold was so important, right? I mean, I don't think that that's confusing in a lot of cases. I think people understand the significance of why gold was important for so long, right? But now here we have a reality that we have to deal with, right? And that reality is the fact that we can't even trust gold any longer or silver because those moneyed interests, right, have intervened in that space. And what happens is that, like, if you look like an entity like JP Morgan, right, they'll own millions and millions of ounces of any precious metal. And what they'll do is that they'll manipulate the market to their benefit, which is to suppress the value. Because if they lose that nexus of the battle, well, we automatically win. Right? Think about it. The whole objective is to do what? Maintain power, and that power is based on their ability to print fiat, nothing further. I mean, we've seen the videos that I'm sharing on Twitter if you're following me, and I shared one where the dude straight up said we can just print what we want, doesn't matter. Straight up said it. A Democrat here from like Ohio or something like that, right?
Makes you wonder if the people that have the power because they can print the fiat, how much power are hexagons going to have if they have the T-shares in the system?
Exactly.
And yeah, now that you have pulled this up, I saw a question from Max.
I actually did though.
Yeah, exactly. So it's but just real quick, T-share. The question is the T-share rate based on a certain stake length? I don't get it. All stakes have duration. If you stake,
hold on, let me see that. Go ahead.
If you stake your hex, you can decide how long you want to stake it. And the longer you stake it, you get a bonus for that.
I see.
And you get extra T-shirts for that. So if you stake for 10 years or longer, you get a triple bonus, right?
Yeah, 3x bonus.
Yeah. So you get a 3x bonus. So if you would stake an amount of hex and you would get 1 T-share if you would stake it one day, you would get 3 T-shares if you would stake it 10 to 15 years. And that's the bonus that you're getting. Now, there's also a bigger pays better bonus that's smaller. But you also get rewarded for putting more hex into the system. And you just get a small bonus on that to get more T-shares. That's how it's being calculated. It's that easy. And so that's another thing. Then people are incentivized to put in more hex and for longer to get more T-shares in the system for longer. Because when you end your stake, you lose your T-shares. You mint your coins, but you lose your T-shares. And so if you want to remain those T-shares, because T-share price always goes up, you have to stake that same amount of money for longer or put in more economic value. And so that's another great thing about Hex and why it only goes up.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second, right? It's very simple, just like you said. The fact of the matter is that the way the contract works incentivizes people to force the price up. Because what happens is you have to buy more. Right? Have to buy more. What?
It's that simple.
Hold on.
And no problem. And I also saw somewhere a question about where can I find some good sources for learning. Well, you can watch all Will's streams. Will's also does a stream on Maddie Allen's YouTube channel. It's called Quant Gang. Watch all those videos. Watch Richard Hart's videos. Watch the Discord Syndicate. They have great videos as well. Belly at Brand, Huddle Dog. There are a lot of streamers that you can learn a lot from.
Yeah. So here's a question that I kind of find annoying. And the reason I say it annoying is because you can't really tell what's going to happen to the payout per T-share over the years. And that's because the system is dynamic. And what that means is what's happening now might not happen in the future. So it could be that the payout doesn't increase. So we don't know that that's going to actually be true. So I'm not sure where people are getting that idea from. What's gonna happen is it's gonna get larger in fiat terms. That's about it, though. We can't presume anything else. We can only presume that it's gonna get larger in fiat terms, nothing else. We can't presume that the payout per T-share in HEX terms is going to increase, because the only way that can happen is if there's less people in the system. That's it. Because then the staking percentage goes down, meaning the APY goes up, meaning you get more HEX per payout per T-share. So that's the only way.
And I just got a private question real quick. A friend doesn't fully understand yet why the price of a T-share matters, because you can't buy a T-share. And I just literally told him, well, it's because the price of a T-share goes up in HEX, and so you need to buy more. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that price is a representation of the dollar cost in HEX terms, right?
Yeah. So, and that's, I think a lot of people don't understand that yet.
Yeah.
The T-share price is literally programmed to go up in value in HEX. So the amount of HEX you need for a T-share. And that means that the people in the system need to put in more HEX to get the same returns as people earlier in the system. And so people will always start to buy more HEX or lock it up for longer so they get those T-shares. And that's how the T-share price is indirectly pushing up the HEX price, because more people are buying and locking it up, so not selling. So you get more buy pressure, less sell pressure.
That's it.
Like once you start to understand this, once you start to really understand those concepts, and you can really think about it really easily. Like you can literally just ask yourself, okay, what happens if I get a T-share? Okay, I get this amount of HEX. What happens when the T-share price goes up? Okay, I need more HEX. Okay, so that means that you have to buy more HEX, and in that way, you can really easily plan it out for yourself. Oh, this is why HEX goes up.
Correct.
It's actually pretty simple. It's really basic economics. It's just in a layer of a system that has been thought out amazingly.
Right. Here's a good question that a lot of people, I guess we don't talk about it enough. Where do all the penalties go when a stake is ended early? And where the penalties go is 50% go to the staker class and 50% go to the OA. And it's coded like that in the contract, so that can't be altered either. It's immutable. Everything that the system does, that's all it's going to ever do. It's not going to ever change, and that's consistency. Now, in financial markets, consistency brings a ton of value. Go ahead, Mark. Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to say this is great that we're getting all these questions, and that apparently we can talk about it again and again and again, because that means that there are new people. It means that people are starting to learn.
100%. 100%.
And that's great, man. And just to add on, where do all the penalties go? Just to talk a little bit about the penalties. I said it yesterday to someone in real life. It's just great. If HEX goes up, people emergency unstake their stakes, and so they pay a penalty, and those penalty get paid to the stakers, so to me. So when HEX price goes up crazy, I get extra penalties. When HEX goes down crazy, I get extra penalties because people emergency unstake try to sell, panic sell. And when HEX is stable, I still get the interest, and it's all completely fine. So whatever way the HEX price moves, as long as I keep on staking, I'm winning hard.
That's it. You can't lose. So being staked is like having a constant fishing net out, and you never have to tend to it. It's just always doing the fishing for you. It's a beautiful thing, right? I mean, where else are you able to just constantly eat, right? And there's no overhead to this. This is basically free money when you sit here and think about what's happening. Because what's happening is you're putting out X amount of economic mass, and that economic mass that you put out is going to return multiples to you in return. It's going to literally return multiples to you in return, because the system is designed to constantly pay you out. Now, how is that? Let's look at this chart. You guys already saw what you get for one T-share in HEX terms. Well, let's look at that in percentage terms, just so you guys can understand the power. Now, look at this chart. This is the payout per T-share sum line, but in index form. So it's just a return value, but shown numerically. And all you have to do to get the return is just take 100 off of this value. So 289 would be the number here. But long story short, 247,000% for just breathing. Can I get a witness? Like, come on. Or as our homeboy would say, come on, man.
We should have a meme like that, man.
Yo, it's so funny. It kills me because every time he says it, it's because they know they got him. He knows they got him. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. Anyway, but just look at that percentage return, right? And then let's harp on the infrastructure of the code, because that's what it's about, right? The consistency of the system and how well it operates, right? Because again, when you opt into a system that's supposed to generate returns, you want to make sure that it actually does what the claims are, right? And this is why we review the code. I made these charts, like everybody said all these things, and I just never saw anything showing it to me. So that's why I made these charts, and it's true. Everything you hear people say is true, right? The system's payout per T-share index, which calculates how much the payout has increased over time, is basically 4x since the start. Easy peasy, 5x, 4x, right? Because it started below 1, now it's greater than 5, damn near to 6. So it's a 5x, okay? Daily payout index. This is the system, right? What the system pays out in terms of HEX. Now we're at a 17x or 171x just on that. And not only that, okay, not only that, it's just the simple consistency of the flat line over time and the simple fact that the volatility is strictly to the upside, never to the downside, meaning the surprises are always upward, never ever downward. What system out there replicates that? Let me know. I'll wait. I'll pause right here. I'll give you like 30 seconds. Go ahead. In fact, I'll play the video.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. We'll wait. I'm gonna play the longer one. So y'all gonna have like 2 minutes.
wait. Repeat the question. What other system do you know that has only surprise to the upside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other system that you know that constantly runs to the upside, or consistently runs, right? It consistently provides value, and the surprises are only to the upside, never to the downside. Name me one.
And 100% uptime.
100% uptime. We'll be back in a moment, folks.
After the commercial.
This is Wales Only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're going to pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics.
Man,
all right.
I love that gunshot at the end.
Yeah, it's good. It's so nice. Yeah, it's good work, bro. You really killed it. You killed it with this work.
Thanks, man.
I don't
More's
know
coming, people.
Yeah, right. It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. Everybody likes it a lot. The reception has been pretty ridiculous. I didn't expect
Appreciate
it,
it, man.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. But we got a pretty good question, right? Now, it's a good question because it's hard to imagine, first and foremost, because we're not even at $1. But it's important because why would you buy anything else ever? And I'm going to answer that question now. Now, let's think about what's happening when we're staring at what these charts are showing. Okay? Just look at this. Okay? Look at this orange line. Okay? Look at this yellow line. Look at this this magenta line. Look at this dark pink line. They all have one thing in common. And that one thing is that they simply are repetitive, meaning they always do the same thing over time. Always. So whether it's a B share, a M share, a K share, a C share, whatever it is that you end up having to buy at some point in the future,
Just a share.
just be advised, whatever it is, you're going to get your money's worth, because the system is always going to do the same exact thing. And that's double up, print your money. Because what you have to realize is that it's not designed for pump and dump. This motion that you're seeing on the chart, most recent from 7.8, from 7/10 of a cent to now, that's what this is supposed to do. You're not supposed to get this and then that. You're supposed to get this. That's it. Consistent up move. Okay? So if you want to think about it like this. Consider a tall rectangle and slice it in half diagonally from the upper right to the lower left. That's what this is going to be over time. So the question becomes, even when you're buying in the future, when do you want to get off the train? Mm-hmm. Never. It's never about how much. The how much takes care of itself in this system. That's a unique aspect of HEX. It literally encapsulates time. It doesn't take into account price. It doesn't need to, because it's designed to always go up. And that's what we see when we look at the fact that it's log based too. It's designed to propel upward always. And not only that, it even is encased electronically in such a way where that is what's going to happen in every time. And that's what we see, right? That's exactly what we see. In fact, let's pull up the chart, right?
Yeah, and a big thing is also like, what is the appeal for new people in the coming years to want to buy?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
the APY is still the APY, man.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
So whether HEX is at $5 or $100, right now, if the amount of stakers in the system is kind of the same, you will still get your 30 whatever percent APY.
So how easy is it to calculate 30% on $100? Right, very easy. It's just $30.
Yeah,
anybody can do that. So it's going to make the instrument even more attractive, because the math only gets easier as the dollar values go up.
We've seen it from the pump from 1 cent to 40. The
100%.
higher the price got, the more people wanted to buy.
Yep.
It was crazy to me. It doesn't make sense to me, but
it's that reflexive.
I mean, if people want to buy it, sure, let's go.
That's just the reflexive nature of markets. This is just true.
Yeah.
Right. And this is what people have to understand. So even if it costs $1,000, which it is going there, it's going there. You got to understand that. It's not literally even a debate. It's going there.
At the beginning of Bitcoin, do you think the people, you could ask this same question, like, what would be the appeal for people to buy when it's $60,000?
Correct. Yeah.
Apparently nothing.
Well, interestingly enough, they're still trying to get people to buy it now.
Yeah, true.
So, I hope that makes sense, Solo. There's always going to be an incentive to purchase HEX, because it's a yield-bearing instrument, right? There's not many out there that provide yield just by that notion alone. It's superior in that fact, right? Because what else out there is doing anything worthwhile in terms of yield payment? Almost nothing, right? Almost nothing. Outside of HEX, I'm hard to imagine anything that's even remotely halfway close. What's out here paying you 20% just because you're alive without having to give your coins up, your keys up? I'll wait. And nobody put anything in the chat, right? Because I'm still trying to read through questions. I'm not actually caught up on the chat.
I don't know. I haven't checked it.
Shout out to Balliot. Shout out to you, brother. That's right. Ashanti. We are the money masters now. They don't understand that. By the time they figure it out, it'll be too late.
Cookie Boy said HEX was designed to pump and pump just how she likes.
Yeah, pump and pump. That's right. That's a fact. In fact, you can see it. Pump,
yep.
Pump, 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 pump and pump, pump. Never no dump. Never. Because even on a down move, what happens? It just corrals back higher. It just never stays down. It's like Rocky. You can't keep it down. You can't keep X down. All right, let's see this question. What do you think about the strategy of being to stake bigger, but only half of the amount of stakes, and sweat out the stakes as they come up for end stake? I mean, I guess it just matters what you want, right? I always, because every time people ask me these kind of questions, I try to like think of an answer, but it just always brings me back to like, I guess it just really depends what you want.
It really does, man. It's
Yeah.
really, you just have to ask yourself, what do I want from this system? The system is here to provide. What do I want out of it?
Right.
Because Will's strategy is completely different from mine, but they're equally valid.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? Let's see. He has a for example down here.
About freedom, man.
Yeah, he has an example down here. So, for example, make a stake every other year, and then when each comes up, restake just the Pulsar ETH version for another 365. Then you're switching to a stake ending every other year. Yeah, so that's like, I get what you're asking. I mean, I guess the funny thing is if you think about that now, man, your mind is gonna probably change between here and then. You might not even think that's something you want to do.
Also, if you like, there's a difference between, do you want to optimize for most amount of T shares? Then I wouldn't even restake for 1 year, but do the every other year, and then everything that comes out, you just take out 15 years. Because at the end of 15 years, you will have every single year 15-year stake.
You know what I would do based on this here? Like if just in line with what Markable said, it made me think of this. What I would do is based on the 1, 3, 5, 7 all the way to 15. What I would do is once the 1 year came out, I would restake that 15 years, the 3 year 13, the 5 year 11, and so on and so forth, or some variation like that, so that you're still trying to preserve your T-shares, right? Because the T-shares are always going to get more expensive.
Yeah.
Right, but you want to take advantage of the price action also, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
make sure whatever you're doing, if you're making the ladder, and the first time I heard this was from Kareem. He said, "Do your longest stakes first."
Yep,
it makes perfect sense.
Yep, I agree with that. Let's see. Yeah, that's a possibility, right? Do you expect a lot of Hex newcomers dumping their bags right after Pulse Chain Snapshot? I mean, that's always a possibility, right? Because if you don't understand Hex, then you would do something dumb like that.
Look, it's still crypto.
Yep.
And there's going to be a dump after a snapshot. It's always the case.
Yeah.
But the thing is, where does that dump lead? Because if you're going in now, and let's say, like, I don't know where the pump is going, but you know there's going to be a pump because there's always a pump for a snapshot. Well, let's say the pump goes to $1, right? And then dumps down 50%. Then you're still higher than you are right now. So,
So here's the thing about this comment. While there are fewer and fewer T shares as time goes by, that's not actually true. What's true is that only X people can afford X number of T shares, because the system has been pretty steady holding above 10.5 million T shares. I'm hard pressed to think that the system is going to lose 25% of that anytime soon. So how can the payout per T share increase at all based on that notion alone? Because the payout per T share can only increase if there's less players in the pool. So as long as there's 11 million trillion shares and there's just, just people in the system, that's just not gonna, like, you need less people in the system in order for the payout per T share to be increased. That's it. Like that's just, I got a chart.
You need less T shares, not necessarily less people.
Same thing.
Not necessarily.
Well, unless you got whales up in here, yeah. Right? Because one entity is one entity. So if you want, I could say one entity. I could say entity, sure, whatever. The whole point is less entities equal more payout. That's my point, right? Because in markets, you don't know who's who, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so don't get caught in don't get lost in the weeds. Don't get lost in the weeds. So do you have an option to keep your T short stakes again? Yeah, so the only thing you can do is just restake. Let me stake for longer, because over time, what's going to happen is you're going to lose, right, based on the price appreciation that's already happened, because the system's designed to continue to appreciate over time. It's not there to stay at the same value. So in line with that narrative, right, or that reality, that mathematical fact, what's going to happen is that the system is going to reprice itself over time, over and over and over. Like, that's what's actually happening, right? So with that, you see how it's happening every time you get a payout per T-share, because that's what this chart is showing you. This pink line, the payout per T-share, is going down now because you got more entrants in the system. You see, you got 11 trillion shares, right? 11 million trillion shares, right? Or 11 trillion shares, right? So that means that there's more people than there was previously when it was just 11 million shares, right? Or trillion shares, right? So the payout now is smaller because there's more people, so there's less to go around. So that's how the system works, because it's a pool. And if there's more participants in the pool, and that means that there's less space, meaning you can only have but so much of the pie, right? That's just how it works. So that's the little basics on what could happen as far as a T-share payout. I'm just hard pressed to believe that it's gonna go up unless this number goes down, because that's just not how the math works. Just not. So I don't know. This is the everybody gets paid chart. This one is just a compilation of moving averages for the payout per T-share. Let's see. What this chart is saying is that the payout per T-share goes up, right? The longer you're in the system, the greater you're going to be in terms of receiving a payment, right? Because over time, the notion is that as the payout goes up or the rate goes up, that it makes HEX less attainable. I'm sorry, not HEX. The T-share less attainable, right? It makes it more expensive, and what you're buying then is a fraction of that T-share, right? That's what you're buying. So then you're only earning a fraction of that payout, right? So by default, based on bond math, we can expect that the fiat value is going to be significantly greater, right? That's what people have to mean about the payout per T-share increasing, whether they know it or not. Because if the value of a payout per T-share, if a payout per T-share increases, it is only as a function of the decrease in the participants in the pool. Like, it just can't be separated from that. So we got the 55 and the 28-day average for the payout per T-share at 5.873, because as you guys have been seeing, we've been getting entrance in the system, right? So this is why we've been getting a decrease in the average over the past 28 days, right? Each point across time is a representation of the previous 28 days from that point in time. Same thing for 55 days, and this is just an all-time average. So right now, the all-time average for the payout per T-share is 4.194. And it just is going to go up every day because we get paid every day. And that's it. So notice how price kind of careened on here, off of here, right? Kind of just hugged it, popped up, came back, hugged it, popped up. Question is, how much further is it going to keep going? And is it going to come back? Or is the payout per T-share just going to keep tracking it until it runs into it again? We don't know, right? But this is why we watch this data and we discuss it, because it's just what the system is doing. We don't actually know what's gonna happen, right? We don't actually know. So let's see. When the stakes mature is a number of HEX minted based on the number of T-shares you had or the penalties. It's both. So it's a sum of both. And the system records both for you in real time as it happens. So you don't actually have to worry about that. Go ahead, bro.
So the only thing that the system does is every day it calculates how much interest you're getting by looking at how many T-shares you have. And then it has just the payout per T-share, and then it adds up the penalties that were on that day. And so they add up for every single day. And so when you unstake your stake, the system is just going to go back and is going to look at every single day. Okay, this day you got this much this day you got that much, and then that's your payout.
Right. That's it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Let me see. Got any more questions? Because I was way behind the chat, so basically jumped ahead on me. All right, let's keep going through these charts for now.
Yep.
So we got the expiring shares, right? Now this is a chart that's going to let you know where the system sits with respect to what's going to happen as far as the ratcheting goes, okay? So pay attention to the curve, to the backside of this curve, okay? Because this is the percentage of expiring shares per month from now until the system, until 15 years out, because that's the max that we can track, okay? So as you can see the 10-year wall here, so showing a big chunk of stakes coming out at that point in time. Same thing for the 15-year mark down here. And naturally, people are short-term oriented because they can't think long-term in most cases. And this is what we're seeing here. So we're going to run through these charts and just note how these peaks change over time. Because this is just a function of how the ratcheting is going to go. If it inflates a lot on the way out, that means that the T-share rate is going to inflate out when the T-share is on the way out. Simple as that, right? And that's what we're seeing, an increase. And that's as of yesterday, last night. So we just keep seeing an increase in adoption, right? This is what it means when this line smooths out. Because the points are going to just get smoother because there's more adoption. That's just a function of the network effect. Because if you look back, it was a little jaggedy, even more, and even most, right? And now it's pretty smooth relative to that.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of things I pay attention to, bro. This is what you know, this is what tells you what's going on. Now here we got the
this one's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's the best one, really.
Took me a while to understand it, but when I got it, man.
Exactly. Now you understand what's going on, so it's easy to see.
Everyone that is watching right now that doesn't understand this chart, make sure you do, because you will buy way more hex when you do.
Yep.
You will be way better off in your decisions when you do.
Correct, because this chart is comparing Hex versus Ethereum and Bitcoin with respect to their returns, right? And now what's happening here is that when you look at Hex on the x-axis, you have the zero line right here. Okay, now that zero line is denoting positive performance to the right, negative performance to the left. We have the same thing for Bitcoin and Ethereum on the y-axis. The zero is a little hard to see, but it's right here where the purple line is on both charts, okay? So you can see same thing for Ethereum. Same thing. Now, the zero line denotes the positive side to the northern, right, naturally, and the negative side below, right? So above and below. I can't believe I said northern. Anyway.
real quick, how I made, just commented, that chart should be turned into artwork on the wall. That would be dope, man.
That was funny. But this is an important chart. It tells you a lot of things. First thing, correlation is 0 for both ETH and Bitcoin. It's showing you where the returns lie versus Bitcoin, right? For Hex versus Bitcoin, this is Hex here, 0%. Bitcoin, however, minus 13, right? Over here, Hex, 100%. Bitcoin, 1% or less, whatever. Over here, Hex, 150%. Bitcoin, 3%. That's how you read that, right? It's the XY plot of the returns across time. And each one is connected in time. That's all. That's how you know the correlation and all of that stuff, because you have to track it across the same time frame. So correlation is 0. It's also letting you know where the returns lie primarily for Hex. And they primarily lie on the right side of the zero axis. And that's important because that's telling us that over time, the returns are always going to be positive. Same thing versus ETH. Now, when you look at Ethereum versus its returns, you'll see that when you split it down the middle, the returns are pretty even or maybe even negatively skewed, right? Meaning that the preponderance of the dots or the majority of the dots are below the zero line, which means negative. Same thing for Bitcoin, right? The volatility, this is volatile, right? Relative to Hex, these are volatile because Hex is just always positive. That's it, right? Hex is just always positive. It's not really volatile. The volatility is to the upside. That's not negative. So you can't even look at it as a negative or even imply that it is. It just doesn't even make any sense. So taking that into account, this is what we're looking at, right? Just positive performance across the board in many different aspects, and the simple fact that it's entirely uncorrelated. Critical. So here we have the role of correlations of the T-share dollar cost versus the Hex dollar cost, right? And we talked about this earlier, and as you can see, the 55-day correlation is 1, solidly 1. So every time the cost of a T-share goes up, meaning it requires more Hex to buy a T-share, then the price of Hex is going to go up as well. Simple as that. That's it. So yeah, price is going to continue going higher, and that's what you're seeing. A little dip is going to happen because price will get ahead of itself sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. But understand that it's just going to happen and it's going to have to come back. Okay.
If you go back to the Hex chart where we just were, this should be a piece of art on the wall.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Look at the correction we had, and look how well it is coming back now already. Yep. it's fucking textbook, man.
It is. Look at that. It's like you just can't keep this thing down, bro. You just can't keep it down. It's a beautiful thing.
Can't make this shit up.
Nah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It really, really is. Wow. I mean, sometimes I just stare at that chart and I'm just like in shock, man. You know, because I know, I know how hard that is. You know, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, I get it. It's not easy to make that chart.
It's like you said, right? Art is hard work.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's not easy. I mean,
but when it's there, it's beauty.
Yeah. It is, man. It's crazy. Well, hold on. Damn. All right. So yeah. So this is basically a chart with dollar representations of different values of Hex. One is just a regular Hex price. The other is a payoff per T-share price, which is 5.739 as of last night, which gave us a dollar value with the close of 8 p.m. at crossover of $2.19, giving us an adjusted Hex value of $2.57, which is just the summation of the 38 cents plus the $2.19. And that's all that is. So ultimately, the pink line is just the leading indicator, the yellow line as well. They're just both leading indicators. But the main thing to note is that the spread, right, continues to widen between the pink line and the orange one. Now, what is that spread? Well, that spread is how much you're getting in terms of a T-share versus the actual price of Hex. Now, what happens is that over time, as you'll see here, when the price widens out enough versus the payoff per T-share in value, it snaps the system back in line. This is where you get these run-ups from. Right? Same thing happened here. Right? Same thing happened here. Same thing happened here. Same thing happened here. Same thing happened here. Now, it'll take time for you to figure it out and see it, but there's basically negative divergences all over. Right? It's just a matter of figuring out where the divergence is and how it happens, because it's just not easy to see sometimes. So, yeah. So ultimately, if you look at this, right, price followed this value, which was back here, right, months before, right, but it actually touched it way back here in October. I mean, I don't even think I was in Hex show when it touched that value. So,
that was a big payday, right?
Oh, that was November 1st. I was already in it. All right. But you got to understand that, right? Like what's happening in the chart, right? So here you had this big move for big payday, right? Price got stumped out, but look, payoff per T-share just came right back. It just snapped back. And that's a function of the value creation in the system. No matter what, it's just going to continue to do what it's designed to do. And that's important to understand exactly because of this chart. So this is the Hex price to earnings ratio. Now, what's this saying? What it's saying is that you get your money back within 17% of 1 year. This is approximately 60 days. And yeah, that means you get your money back in terms of doubling, because that's what getting your money back means. So every 60 days, according to this line, at a base level, you're going to be guaranteed a doubling of some sort. You get your money back, according to this math here, because that's what this is saying. Well, for the S&P 500 all-time low, the greatest you could garner was a 505.0% pay, or it would take you 5 years to get your money back, basically, and a half, versus just 17% of a year. So it's always on you. It's always on you. What do you actually want? And the odds are you don't want the all-time low during the World War I, because if it was at 551% then imagine what it actually is now. I haven't even changed this in stupid long.
And just to amplify the significance of what you're saying here, this is actually what the big investors look at, right? I remember you said something about you being on Wall Street, that this number matters a lot. Is that true or not? Or am I just rambling now?
Yeah, no, because people
I just want people to understand this number, because I've seen it in a few of your streams and you explain it really well. But if people don't know yet, just a quick explanation of why this is such a significant thing in the legacy as well.
Yeah, so basically this is how people measure their return on that, like how quickly they're going to make their money back. Right? That's it. That's what it's for. So the notion is if you bought down here, you'd get your money back. If you bought at 551%, you get your money back in 5.5 years. If you buy here, you get your money back in 30 years. But the notion behind that is the higher, the better, because the greater your earnings. But that's not true. You're just overpaying for them. And that's important to understand too, because you're going to get screwed over. Ultimately, anybody that's ever bought in this range always gets screwed over, right? Bubble here, another bubble here, and this is the one we're currently living in right now.
Look how high the one of 2010 or 11 is.
I don't even know how high that one actually goes.
I just wonder how high we're going to go now. Probably going to go higher, no?
Yeah, probably.
PE ratio goes up and to the right.
Hold on, give me a second, guys.
If you're not getting into something that goes up and to the right nowadays, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I honestly don't get it, bro. Like, shit. You got all you need, like, as far as the data to confirm whether this is legit or not. And people just don't bother to take the time, to just look. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's real crazy because all the data's on the blockchain. Like, nobody's making this up. You can't get this from anywhere but there. Like, that's it. That's it. Simple as that. Hold on.
Oh, pro tip to everyone that's watching. Thanks for watching, by the way. If you want to enjoy the stream even more, open another tab on YouTube. Type in lo-fi hip-hop beats and just play that on the background. That makes your experience even better.
There you go. Simple as that. Boom. What's that? Let me see. Oh, yeah, I seen that one. That was a funny one. All right, so the t-shirt market cap was $79.5 billion as of last night at 38.5 cents. This is just a representation of what the network effect looks like across different stocks. You have Apple, Microsoft, Google, and you also have Bitcoin overlaid over it, so you can see that it's no different. It's just different markets. That's all. And here we have the price of HEX overlaid by the total holders in the system, meaning total wallets that hold HEX. And that is at 146,118. Like it's going up, man. It's going up. And as you guys can see now, it seems like that's support, right? Like this level just seems to hold it, even if it isn't real, right? Because clearly holders isn't something you trade. So current stakers at 58,196 versus a price of 38.15. So, it's holding up nicely, man. I mean, this is pretty much it for the charts. But this is how the APY works. It's a coin staked, right? It's a function of the coin staked as a percentage of the total supply, not the circulating supply. Difference. Okay, big difference. So right now we're at like right below 10%, I think. Oh shit, hold on. Right now 9.897. Yeah, that should just keep rising it up. All right, so what that means is we're right below 10%. So the APY is slowly encroaching on staying right at 37% for a while. That's what that means. Or at least until people exit the T-share system, right? And cause their yield to go back up. That's about it. But until then, the more people that stake, right, meaning the coins staked as a percentage of the total supply keeps increasing, the lower the APY is going to go. But in the same vein, the higher the price. So pick your poison.
I like both.
Yeah.
Can I have both?
That's what's called staking, sir. That's the only way you can get both in value, and that's it. But that's pretty much it. So I guess you guys can ask questions now. If not, we can wrap it up. But that's pretty much it. So yeah, let me know if you guys got any questions. See any questions in the chat?
Volsican 2021 says, "Damn, Will's voice goes great with lo-fi hip hop." And I have great news for you, my friend. I'm going to make a remix with lo-fi hip hop with Will's voice on there.
Here we go.
Just like the one of the intro and the outro, but then chill. And I'm going to call it Will noises. Will sounds. Will sounds to sleep to.
You're retarded. We're gonna be selling that. We're gonna be selling that on all mixtape outlets. We're going 50-50, folks. It's all good. Don't worry. Oh man, too funny. All right, so let's see what the price is doing while we wait for questions, I guess, if there are any. If not, we'll just rip the cord and keep on trucking. Ooh, it's about to get nasty.
Ooh, that's a nice.
Man, people gonna learn the hard way, I guess. It's all good. People gonna learn the hard way. Yep, pretty much, man. Pretty much. What up, AJ? Thank you for the love, bro. What up, AJ? Hope everybody's doing good, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got 250 people watching right now, by the way.
That's cool, man.
It's crazy.
Keeps increasing up and to the right.
Yeah. Hard to say, man, because it depends on what percentage of the coins are staked. So that's the only way to answer that question. So can't really answer it. Hard to say.
But if you want to ballpark it, just calculate it yourself by going to nomics. And then,
I mean, but you're not gonna know what the percentage stake is gonna be, so it's gonna be a false number. It's not even gonna matter.
That's true.
That's the problem. That's why I don't. People want to know these things like if they're knowable, and they have to understand that they're not. That's the biggest thing because they're not knowable. Like you can take a good guess if you want, but your guess is as good as mine, so it doesn't matter if I give it to you or not. And that's what I want people to understand. Yeah, because I get it. People think I'm smart, but I'm not smart. I'm just telling you what the data says, man. That's all. Just reading the data. Anybody can do that.
Facts only one.
That's it, baby. If you want to, you can do too. So that's it. Let's see if we got any questions here. Yep. That's it. Hold is increasing, stake is increasing. That only means one thing. Price gonna increase. Boom. There we go. That piff. That's a common mixtape store here in the U.S. marketable online.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. That's why. It's
Oh, that's
funny.
dope.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you there, man.
Right.
And
We're gonna release all the streams on thatpiv.com.
And I swear your album will be called Will Sounds. It just has to. Will Sounds only one.
Oh man, everybody will get so mad. Oh, no, he will not. He's done with Hex. Hex is what it is. That's it.
It's done. That was one of the big selling points. It's done.
Correct.
No one can
Fuck with it.
Richard can die and everything will work perfectly fine.
Yep.
Actually, if Richard, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, it's all good. I know exactly what you're thinking because it's true. Yep. Fucked up, but
Fundamentals
true.
everywhere.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Whoops. Fucked up.
Will's only laugh track.
Oh man, what is center? XY coordinates of those? Yeah, that's the 0. That's a 0. Let's make sure. This here, the center is just 0, right? Where both points meet at 0. That's all it is. That's what the center point is.
So I had when I first saw this chart, I had kind of had to think over it a few times, and it was because I wasn't entirely sure what those points were saying. I just had to look at it a little bit longer. But to make it easier for people, on the vertical axis, you see, is this per day or is this?
Yeah, every day.
Okay, so every day you can see how much the Bitcoin price has gone up or down, and you see that on the vertical line, and that's represented on how high the dot is plotted.
Yep.
And the same thing goes for the same information about the hex returns from 0, from if it's negative or positive. That's on the horizontal line. So so on that same day where Bitcoin was up or down, in that same point, it also says how much hex was up or down in that same time frame. And so you can see that the dots are mostly on the right side of the Bitcoin, of the vertical line of Bitcoin, and that means, if I'm not mistaken, that Hex outperforms Bitcoin, right? Was that no? That's not true.
What would you say? That what outperforms Bitcoin?
No, when it's on the right side of the vertical axis, that is outperform Bitcoin, but it's not true. Right?
No, it's just
that's a mistake. Yeah.
So what it is just this is just a price performance for Hex, right? When it's up here, when it's down here is when Hex has outperformed Bitcoin, because this is the negative side. Yeah, exactly. And this is the positive side for Hex.
That's the right way of explaining it.
Yeah, so this is the place where Hex outperforms Bitcoin. And as you can see, there's a lot of dots over here. Whole lot of dots.
Just really look at this chart with just the information that we just gave you, and just look at it and try to understand what every dot means. Just try to understand what is happening here, and then you'll get there.
Perp, nah, I don't think a correction is in store, bro. I think we're about to pop on higher. I don't really get this. The average increase of a t-shirt. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Yep. It's up there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that comment, man. Appreciate that. Just trying to share the wealth, man. The real wealth, not the fake shit. How realistic is $100,000 per hex until start 2020? I think you mean 2027. I guess you mean $1 million? I don't know, man. Anything's possible, and if it keeps going how it's going now, it's going to be more realistic than we thought.
So there's this one question that isn't really stated as a question, but I can see what the question is. Eric says, we're talking about 15-year stakes are the best, but technology is improving so quickly, and kind of, I guess his concern is that technology will outperform Hex somewhat.
Yeah, no, what's funny about what's funny about that is that Hex is cutting edge technology. People don't understand Hex still. People, this is still Bitcoin 2010. So you got some ways to go, sir.
You're way ahead.
Yeah, you're way
I
ahead.
think. Yeah.
Pull testing that timeline. We don't know. We don't have anything on it yet. We just know that they've been able to get the chains to sync, which is great because that's what we need. There you go, baby. Welcome back. Welcome back. What does the data say for Hex price for 2027? Yeah, I already answered that. That's cool.
So we got a super chat from Alan.
Oh, thanks, Alan. Appreciate that, brother.
He says, when Hex comes to Boston, should I be looking out for a whale with a monocle splashing around,
Yeah,
dragging heads back in every
you
pothole?
should, because I'm gonna make my way up there. I'll be swimming on up there, up the Atlantic.
Beautiful.
I'm not taking the 95. I'm just gonna swim up the Atlantic. I can't deal with it. So the 95 is the highway that takes us to Boston from New York. Do you guys think that the ETH? I'm reading the wrong thing. That the gas fees for ETH will reduce once poll chain? Yep, probably, because who wants to pay an arm and a leg just to print some pointless art? Like, come on. Well, not pointless art, but things that shouldn't be printed for thousands of dollars. Basically, is what I'm saying.
If everything is moving to a pulse chain,
yeah, pretty much.
ETH has to do something to be able to function, because otherwise everyone's just going to pulse chain because it works better. Like,
yeah.
And they actually, and all of a sudden the miners of ETH can't say no, keep the fees high, because then they're destroying their own ecosystem.
Right.
They're already doing it, but then there's an actual consequence. Right now there's no real consequence.
Correct, which is why they can get away with it.
Yeah, but once Pulse Chain is out there and all the ERC20s are on Pulse Chain, then there are real consequences for miners to keep the fees high. And so they have to put it down, or ETH is just going to die. But I don't see that happening.
Right. So let's see. Mentioned earlier in another stream, Bitcoin people need to realize that better things will come along. You need to accept that and join it. Won't in 15 years be something better than Hex? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's easy to presume, yeah, but what if there isn't?
And the cool thing is that right now you're in the most knowledgeable community there is in the Promise Coin space, in the crypto space. So if there's actually something better, we're gonna talk about it. But for now, there's not something.
Yeah, because we don't give a shit. Actually, if there is something better, we're gonna let everybody know if we find it. We're not afraid. That's dumb. We're here to make money. We're not here to hide from making money. So
and Will said it earlier. We're not here to only talk about Hex, but we're here to talk about gaining wealth. And right now, it's Hex is where it's at.
Yeah, Hex is the best vehicle for it. That's
so once Pulse Chain is live, we're also talking about Pulse Chain.
That's right. And it's not anything like Hex. Nothing like it.
No, and if there's something better coming up, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be on top of it, and we're going to win because we're a team win. That's just how it goes.
We just operate in that fashion. We don't really care about anything else. That's why we'll take questions like these a million times. Yeah. Explain stakes. Like, what happens is T-shares at the end of a stake. I'm guessing that's the question. So what happens is when you buy Hex and you stake it, you get T-shares. Those T-shares give you a certain claim to a certain amount of interest from the Hex system every day. That is tabulated throughout your time that you're staked. Then at the end of that stake, you end that stake, and then you mint those new coins. The system is then going to pay you your principal plus the interest accrued. And that's what T-shares are for. Once you want to restake whatever you want to restake, the system is going to recalibrate based on your ROI. And that's it. The T-share rate is going to be based on that. So if you happen to be in during a time when the price pumps crazy, your T-share rate could jump up something crazy. It just depends because it's different now. So hope that makes sense. Let's see. We answered that. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Hold on, guys. I was looking through the chat. Any questions? And thank you again for the super chat, Alan. Appreciate that, man. Let's see.
I just got a private message saying, wait, where is it? It says, Bro, watching the stream with lo-fi is the best idea since Hex. No.
You're ridiculous. Retarded, man. Best guess? I don't know, man. It can happen any day, apparently. So hard to say. Shit, not fuck around. For all we know, he announced it, and we're over here ignoring it. Let me make sure. No, okay, we're good. Because with him, you never know. So, yeah, good to know. We already do have a copy, right? Coming on post chain.
Copy. There's one thing copies do, and that's die.
Yeah, no, I don't think he means copies as in those lame copies. I think he means like.
Oh no, I saw just a comment that said something about a copy, and I'm not even gonna mention more than that.
Right.
It's just useless.
Right.
Not gonna work.
There you go. Would you throw 5Gs into Hex or PC? Well, it depends how bad your PC is, because if you using the same PC to do crypto and it dies on you and you lose your keys or whatever, then you kind of just threw away 2.5 or 5Gs. So just depends, bro. Just depends. So let's see. Can you read questions so I know you're talking shit in the car? No, I'm in my house, dude. I'm not in the car.
Dude, that's literally what we just said. We're done with charts. Now we're gonna read questions.
Yeah.
Anon said Richard Hart forked Richard Hart.
He did, right?
That's funny.
Oh, too funny. That is funny. Oh, nice. Check out GitLab for post-chain updates. Currently, one dev is on vacation for 4 more days. So there you go. There's some inside dirt I didn't know. So it seems like they are on vacation, right? It seems like until that sync was fixed, they weren't doing shit else but that, because they just haven't been doing anything since that.
Yeah.
Yes, because they've been just showing.
They probably deserve that vacation. I think if you work with Richard and you're on a holiday, I think you deserve that holiday.
Yeah, because he's not the type to take holidays at all.
No,
not at all. Let's see. Where will Pulse Chain be to do the transaction? Oh, well, that'll just be on Pulse Chain Network, man. So whenever Pulse Chain goes live and there's a fiat connection to it, that's one. Not much else you can do until then.
A lot of people seem to not understand how to interact with a Pulse Chain network, because most people have only been on ETH, maybe on BNB, but
yeah. So just like when you have to change the network for BNB, you're gonna have to change the network for Pulse. Same thing, MetaMask, all that. It's gonna all be the same.
So and you will get a shit ton of tutorials from Hexicans once stuff is out. So you don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, you really don't have to worry about it. That's very true.
Plus, Richard is really big on a smooth user interface, user experience. So everything will be as easy as it can be. So you'll be fine.
Purple, I didn't see anything about a CZ copycat, but interesting. No, I'm not sure why anybody would do that.
Yeah, that's why I said there's one thing puppies do, and that's die.
Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. Yeah, it could be. It could happen. Could very well happen.
Yep.
This is funny. Yeah, except for that, you actually get real good valuable information, unlike at Harvard. So it's a big difference. How long could it take, and what's the way, and what in the way of Hex being used by? Oh, I don't know. It depends on what they want to do. Because institutional investors might never show up. It doesn't actually matter, because Hex is always going to go up and to the right anyway.
All that talk is always just guesswork, man. It doesn't matter.
Like,
just focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah, we don't care about institutional investors in Hex, because they don't add value.
They can join the end of the line.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if they really added value, Bitcoin would be at $1 million, right? So not so much.
Yeah.
You know? So I get the question, but just understand that doesn't really add value to the network either. So
if anything, it might take value from it.
Right. Correct. Oops. Hold on. Yeah. So let's see. There you go. Oh yeah, so let's talk about the road trip. The road trip is still going on, guys. If you're new and you want to meet some Hexagons in real life, there is an actual road trip going on right now by some Hexagons, real life Hexagons, crypto Sparbug team. And what they're doing is they're going on tour to 80, I think it's 48 cities or something like that.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of cities. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can check it out. Telegram link. And they're going from city to city doing, what do you call it? Breakout sessions, formal breakout sessions, workshops, onboarding people, teaching them how to become independent, right? And that's what it's about. So there's a calendar in there. So check it out if you want to meet some real life Hexagons. If you're in the tri-state area or whatever, you probably get to meet me at some point.
It's a beautiful thing that they're doing now, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hexagons,
Everybody benefits from that. So the interesting thing about Hex, if you're new, is that we don't actually care if you buy the coin or not. In fact, we prefer you don't, because what happens is as I've already explained,
I want to buy them.
our APY stays high with the less people that are in the system. So we actually don't care if you buy it or not. In fact, don't. Doesn't make a difference. It's still going to go up and to the right. It just only goes up and to the right faster if you do buy. That's all. Because people that are already in the system are going to buy. So it doesn't actually matter if nobody else does. So important to understand that. Let's see. I have staked, have a hex stake multiple times. I also have STAKER.APP. How do you see what the amount will be at the end of the stake? Go to HEX.calc.net. Can't help you there, brother. I don't know how much you staked or for when or anything like that, so I can't ask you that question, bro.
Too many variables, man. But
yeah.
What's the URL? HEXcalc.net. I just put it in the chat.
Hold on.
Man, we have the best customer service in the world, I think.
Yep, answer your questions quick. Like no.
Also, if you go to the Telegram chat of PulseCom, Papa B is probably there always.
Yep.
Answering question.
Yep. Let's see. Is there a limited amount of Hex? Like they say, there's 21 million BTC. Because I know when you end your stake, it essentially burns all the original coins, and you mint all new ones technically. Okay. So let me explain what Hex is. Hex is a bonding curve token. What that means is the supply is infinite. So no, there's no fixed supply here, but you have to understand why that's the case, because that's critical, right? That's the key to understanding the system, because otherwise you're going to make the mistake of thinking, oh, there's no fixed supply, then there's no value here. And that's just not how it works, because this is an economic system, okay? This is not just some random coin. This is a system where you buy it, you allocate a certain dollar amount or a certain fiat amount, and you can earn a return on that fiat amount, but in crypto terms. So it's unique in that aspect. Not many protocols out there that pay you in crypto. Very few. So that's number one. Number two, the system works such that when you start a stake, you burn the original amount. When you end a stake, when you start a stake, you burn the original amount of coins you staked, and then you get a T-share representation of that staking amount, right? Whether it's 1 or 10, 20, 100, whatever. Then when you end that stake, those T-shares are burnt, and those Hex are minted, the principal along with the interest. It's not all new coins. That's not how it works. It's a new amount of coins, yeah, because it's not the same amount that you staked, but that's it. That's where it ends. So the utility in Hex is its ability to infinitely print money. So the value of it is infinite because it's an economic asset. And as you can see by staring at this chart, you have the ability to print at least 36% right now. So who doesn't want that? I don't know. And that's in crypto, not even in fiat. So something to take into account. All right. Yeah. Check out Changelly if you want to do a swap. You can do contract to contract swaps there if you got the right wallets set up. So check that out. Yeah, no, that's actually a right assessment. And if you do that and go.hex.com, right, like you do 2 separate stakes. Like if you got 100,000 hex and you do 250,000 hex, right, the only difference is going to be in the T-share amount, right, based on either when you stake it or for how long you stake it for. That's it. But that's all. Right, because if you're staking X amount on the same day, unless you're gonna get that bigger bonus, which I think you need like 150 million hex for, I mean, it's not gonna really matter. It's only gonna matter in that so far as how many T-shirts you're gonna get overall. Right, that's why people say, you know, bigger and longer pays better, but it ultimately is limited by what the system can take from what you can buy, right? Because if you can't buy 150 million hex, which I think is what, you know, touches that, then you're not gonna be successful, right? In achieving that bigger pays better portion of that bonus. Can't tell now the amount of yeah, that also is true, right? Whatever you get in fiat terms is gonna be a function of whatever, right? Whatever the dollar value is at that time. Let's see. Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Biggest money grab. That $600 deposit. They're trying to. Yep. That's right, baby. That's why we don't play with these banks. Cash and crypto for me. That's all I know. That is all I know. I mean, they're not going to be able to pass that anyway, so it's fine. They're just trying to scare people into thinking that they can. That's a complete breach of Fourth Amendment violations. So, Fourth Amendment rights. So it's fine. Let's see. Let's see. Restriction the amount of money. Restrictions on the amount of money is another reason to adopt crypto. Yep. Abuse of privacy will lead to collapse of governments. Look for honest money such as X. Correct. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was super pissed. What was it? Yesterday, I was sending money to my mother. She lives in the Caribbean, where we're from, and it's always a hassle. And it's upsetting because why does somebody think they can tell me what to do with my damn money? It's bad enough we have to use a centralized party for this nonsense. I mean, it's just a simple fact that the infrastructure over there doesn't allow me to send her crypto, because even if I could, she can't get it, right? She can't go to a bank and access that capital. So it doesn't even matter. And that sucks. But that's what the deal is over there until further notice. Let's see. I think that's it. All right, guys. Let's see. Go on Twitter and meet some Mexicans. Don't really know any other way, bro. It's really the only way. Let's see. All right. If you're new to Hex or you've been around, there's gonna be an event in Las Vegas. We had a Las Vegas meetup in 2020 or 2021 in June. So literally a few months ago, almost 3 months of the day. Hasn't even been 3 months yet. And it was a great experience. Yeah, that's a fact. We are the first institutional investors in Hex, because by the time they figure it out, we're going to be just as big as them. So, yep, pretty much. Thank you, Renchi. Thank everybody for tuning in. So there's a Las Vegas event, right? And this time is going to be different. It's going to be different because it's not just going to be a meetup. It's going to be a little more formal, a little more organized. It's going to be a little more cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're going to have our own area, our own everything for the most part. So it's going to be completely different, completely professionally done. You can go to HEX.ticket.com, or is it Hex Tickets? Let me check. Hold on, let me just check real quick because I think Maddie sent this shit to me. So our benevolent organizer, Maddie, all in. Damn, what's the damn? I thought I would remember the website. This is annoying. I can't remember it now. It's gotta be hextickets.com. Let me see.
Isn't it hexticket.com? Knowing Maddie, you would also get hextickets.com then.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, why isn't it working? Here we go.
Yeah. Maddie, step your game up, man. You also have to get hex tickets. Come on.
Yeah, so hexticket.com is where you would go buy a ticket. I already got mine for Las Vegas. It's $369, and it's gonna come with a lot. Because again, this is gonna be different. We're gonna have our own space, our own everything. So everything is gonna pretty much be included. All you have to do is show up for the most part. So this is what's going on in terms of in real life events. We're also gonna have a virtual conference in January. And you're going to have speakers, all kinds of stuff for the in-person one. So this is why it costs so much. We're going to really be doing a formal type of scenario here where we're really going to try to take Hex to the next level. The meetup, the in-person meetup allowed a lot of Hexicans to realize that this is real business. Nobody here is just trying to get rich. We already got rich, right? Buying it. Yeah. So here, this is a good point. So technically the supply is infinite, but most will be locked up for all eternity. So the supply will always be really low. Correct.
Yep.
This is why the price moves the way that it does. Right now, let's take a look at that real quick because that's a great point. Oh, sorry. Two charts.
And this is how you know Wills is for real, because he interrupts a sales pitch for data.
This is true. I wouldn't even.
I mean,
was like, yeah.
I have to call that out, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Well, that's important.
Anyone that would ever try to just only sell something would never do that.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that.
And here we go. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's the
facts only,
integrity of what you're bringing in, man.
Right. It's very true because the data is important. Yep. Right. There's a reason that this does this. There's a reason this does this. All right. Very important. So yeah, while the supply is infinite, what that means is that the price can be infinite because again, there's only limited supply. Because what you have to understand is that it's not what the supply is. It's where the supply is. Important. Hexticket.com. Thank you, Hex Curious. Appreciate you. So if you want to get a ticket to Las Vegas, it's going to be a phenomenal event. The best thing I ever did was go to Vegas in June this year. So, feel us around, you know what I mean? Just get a feel for the community. This guy can't be serious. I feel like everybody knows my end of year prediction. It's $10, bro. I'm the first one to make a crazy outlandish prediction. So
$10.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. It's a hassle, Valley. It's a major hassle. And crypto fixes this. Particularly Hex. We're gonna fix all this shit.
Can't you just move that through crypto?
It depends over there. I don't know how that works because I know people have access to crypto over there, but I don't know exactly how it works over there. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fucked up situation, man. It's a fucked up situation. So let's see. We got another question. Will Pulse be pegged to Hex? Yeah, probably. Probably. I don't see why not. Makes sense. But of course, Pulse is going to be if there is an exchange set up and all of that, and they do bring yield farming to the fore and all of that, because it's going to be required in that instance, right? Because if you're going to have this whole plumbing going on, you're going to need, the liquidity, right? And that liquidity is going to be provided by the yield farming nexus. So, how is it possible? Yeah, it's not possible. It's not. It's not possible. In fact, 17% of the coins are already gone forever. So that's 100 minus 17%. And as time goes on and more coins are minted, that number will get smaller, sure. But for now, that's still 17% of the supply that just no longer exists. So it could never be 100. So hope that answers your question. Yeah, the APY is consistent. The T-share is just a representation of how many hex you're going to get. This is a great question. The T-share is just a representation of how many hex you're going to get. It is not a function, right? It's just payout per T-share. That's it. It doesn't. If you have half a T-share, you're going to get half of a T-share in mathematical terms as well.
What you have to get is that, and I think people get confused by this. It says payout per T-share. But the system calculates how much payout you need to get to your APY that the system is paying out. So it doesn't matter how much money you put in, just you stake it and then you get the APY. It's just that simple.
Yeah, actually the T-shares you get are a function of that.
Yeah.
So you technically don't even have to think about that because the system is gonna pay you out in accordance with your duration. So however long you stake is going to be a function of the T-shares you get. Around what percentage of total hex do you think will be staked when we achieve critical mass? Hard to say.
When is something critical mass?
Yeah, hard to say. Hard to say because do you track it by price or do you track it by staking percentage? Right? Like how do you track it? Because we're only like 10% stake. Do you say it's at 50% stake? Do you say it's at $100? Like I don't know. I don't know how you define critical mass.
Do you track it by market cap? Like if we're number one market cap?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't really matter as well. But
yeah, I don't.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because how do you know when you have achieved critical mass?
When is something too big to
say?
No.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I think people would say about Bitcoin that it hit critical mass, but it's dying. So.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's another good question. With the regulatory pressures on crypto, what is the risk of the liquidity pools in Uni USDC hex pair if the USDC was frozen? Hard to say, right? Because so far they know USDC exists and they've let them exist. They haven't really stopped them. So I'm not so sure that the pressure we're seeing on crypto is on that nexus of the field. Right, I don't think it has anything to do with USDC, so that's important to understand. So I don't think there's actually any risk there, but they're gonna try to FUD it, right? That's what they do because they want to fill up their own bags anyway because they already missed the boat. Yeah, supposed to be given a price most likely and linked to the sacrifice that occurred after it starts zero value. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, so mine's is $10 based on a few things. You got a lot of catalysts coming up. People are discovering Hex more and more every day, and that's a big reason why price.
What's the pool size right now? Liquidity.
Let's see.
It's interesting to look at how quick it's going down. So that's also a big thing. Like the lower it gets now, the higher the price is going when the snapshot is announced.
Right.
That's gonna be beautiful, man.
So it's actually increasing, and I think that's a function. Huh? I think that's a function of value, dollar value, not actual quantity of coins.
If you go back to the other website where you were, I forgot which one that was. Yeah, here you can just check on the Uniswap pools, right?
Oh, right, I forgot about that. 12, 719. 221 plus 33. So 21 plus 33 is 54. 54 million.
So it did increase.
Yep, there's more.
All right.
Yep. Simple as that.
Cool. Yeah. Still
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, but it's still so low, man. Like, what was it? 2 months ago it was 90.
80, 100 million. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this used to be 12 million here on this chart.
Someone in the chat says Hex Huddle says every USDC is backed by USD, but that's not true.
Nah, that's not true.
That's definitely not true.
Nah, that's not true. They've had to acknowledge that.
They're all backed by narrative.
Yep. That's what they're backed by.
Like it's all just a promise.
Yep. Pretty much. But I gotta wrap it up, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
It's already been 3 hours, so thank you guys for joining. We're gonna wrap it up here. If you need consultation, I'll be reachable at worldsonly.com/consult. Coming up with a macro letter, newsletter. It'll be free at first, so everybody can decide whether they actually like it or not. Give me some feedback, yada yada.
Oh,
Then we'll tweak it, and then y'all gonna have to start paying because that's gonna be some critical mass product. Like, that shit is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good because you guys know I don't play. And that shit is gonna be worth it. Trust me, because I'm gonna include. It's gonna be probably like 4 pages. Probably it's just gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. Yeah, trust me, it's gonna be really good. Yeah.
The consultation with Wills is also really good value for money.
Oh well, yeah. The first one is always free. Yeah, the first one is always free.
Yeah, but apart from that, just the stuff that you're sharing with people in an actual conversation, if you're one-on-one,
right?
That's just great, man.
It's different than a stream, that's for sure. Way different than a stream. But yeah, so we're gonna play that outro and we're gonna head out, guys. Thank you guys for checking in. And yo,
you can find me on Twitter on Wills only one. Just go to Will's thing. I don't need you or your follow. I'm a cloud chaser. Every follower that Wills gets, I'll get eventually. It's fine.
You stupid. All right, we're gonna play this outro.
See you later,
Peace,
guys.
The information displayed in this broadcast is known to cause increased amounts of FOMO. Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex. Flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's lullaby music, really, right? It's hard to believe that something like this exists. I get it, but you just gotta come to terms with reality. It just exists. There's nothing we can do about it. Buy, stake, and chill, baby. Shout out to Marketable Thoughts. You can't get this kind of shit for free anywhere else. It's very important to understand that. And we're handing it out. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. So much luck, once again, because the facts don't give a fuck. Peace.